Let's see here.
Well, our openings to these podcasts, David, are always
Very casual.
yeah. We're ready to rock right from the jump. You know, everybody knows. Everybody knows.
One sec. Why isn't that?
We got a couple people waiting. We do have to figure out a way to. You know what though? You do have to give me the full version. I got to put it up on Facebook. A lot of people were upset that it wasn't on Facebook last week.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, Gerard, we are live.
You know what, though? Whoa. You do have to give me the.
That was your own voice.
Okay.
We're live.
All right, we're definitely live. Cool. So, coming to you from the sunny free state of Florida, I am Gerard Michaels, and to my right is producer extraordinaire, the one, the only, everyone's favorite, David the Commie. How
Thank
are
you
you today, sir?
Thank you. I'm doing well, Gerard. Thank you. I'm happy to be here every Friday with you. We tear it up.
Yeah.
This is I set it all
8,
up,
buddy.
and then I break it all down.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
then you tell me, hey, buddy, time for you to leave.
That's
I'm like,
right.
oh, I thought we would hang out. And you're
I'm
like,
happy to set it up and break it down if, you want to pay me for the time.
No, I don't. I'd like to keep the money. Thank you.
Fair enough, man. So, producer David the Commie.
Yes, sir.
Very excited that we came up with an idea last week, or I came up with an idea. Then this idea has been rattling around in this thick old head of mine for, I want to tell you, it's at least 10 years,
Wow.
From the time that I actually worked in government. I said, man, if the people only knew, if they only knew how stretched to the razor's edge these people are, how stretched to the app. If the government has a budget of $1.1 million for something, they will figure out a way to pay $1.3 million. They are so stretched, so thin.
Yeah.
And now what I'm talking about is the debt strike and how the debt strike is the number one tool the citizen has, the number one nonviolent tool the citizen has to kind of regain a bit of power that we've lost over the last 2 years, 6 years. Really, honestly, if it's since the Patriot Act. After 2001, after 9/11, everybody was so incensed and enraged and felt so vulnerable that we could be attacked. Citizens could be attacked on our own soil like that. Conspiracy theories aside, that we were all on board, or I want to say everybody was seemingly on board, Democrats, Republicans, with this Patriot Act. And I was a little bit too young to really understand at the time, but thanks to Edward Snowden and Julian Assange and Glenn Greenwald and a lot of other very, very brave people, we've gotten to see in the 2 decades since exactly what the scope of power we, the citizens, gave up for this false sense of safety that is the Patriot Act. And this now Inflation Recovery Act is going to be a part 2 on that. The Inflation Recovery Act is going to funnel taxpayer dollars from everybody into the very, very top elites, and they're going to do it in the name of fighting the climate crisis. Because if we know anything about climate, David, is that if you give the politicians and therefore all of the corporations who own those politicians all of your money, they will save you from the weather. So, and if you say anything to the contrary, you, sir, are not only a conspiracy theorist, but probably a racist, might even be homophobic. If you don't think giving the politicians the money, your money, will save you from the weather, well, then, one of Klaus Schwab's information warriors is going to have to come down. So we're going to talk about all that at the end. We're going to talk about, the WEF is hiring 500,000 information warriors to fight misinformation across the web. That's, I don't know how they're going to do that because they are just an international think tank and lobby. It's amazing how much power they have, though, huh?
Yeah.
The World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum, who basically owns Canada at this point. I mean, Justin Trudeau, everything Justin Trudeau says is like anything the World Economic Forum tweets on Monday, Justin Trudeau makes law by Tuesday. It's pretty crazy up there in Canadian land. And it's getting even worse out there in Aussie land too. But before all of that, maybe most importantly, I finally a year after it came out, I finally watched Squid Game, David.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
That's pretty bonkers that you're just now watching that.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you think?
I hated it. Hated it. I thought it was terrible.
You thought it was terrible?
I thought it was terrible. I thought
That's
it
a
was
bit
the
much.
pacing was so slow.
Oof.
I felt like I was watching a poorly devised live action anime. The set pieces were incredible. That I will say.
Really?
The set pieces were incredible. Yeah, the act. I mean, the acting was horrible.
Oh my god.
You didn't think the acting was horrible?
No.
Really?
Just Korean, Gerard.
Huh? What?
Their acting isn't bad. They're just Korean.
What does that mean?
It's just it's not.
No, be
American.
specific. What does that mean?
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just saying. I thought it was great. I thought it was great acting. I thought it was a cool story. Sure, I agree with you. We spoke a little bit off camera about it, that the ending, you can kind of see it coming.
Yeah, I mean, who didn't see the ending coming? He's the only guy killed off camera in the whole movie. I mean, come on. In the whole show, there's one guy killed off camera. I mean, in fairness, we work in production. We come from this world, so maybe we're a little more adroit at picking up those kind of clues. But
Yeah, most people would say that he was just killed off camera for a little more dramatic effects. He's an old man. You don't want to see. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
You can imagine it being really. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great show. Am I excited for season 2? God, no. It's another show stretching the plot. Now he's like evil.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing about him was he was
So he's just a bad dad now at this point. It's like,
he's
okay,
just a bad
he's
dad.
a really bad dad. I mean, he was a bad dad. The also thing, I guess he was always supposed to be like a lovable loser. There was nothing lovable about that guy. Maybe the translation, maybe because I'm reading the captions, maybe the translation's not the same. Maybe there's some things that are being lost here. But also, I just like, my goodness gracious. I mean, can you explain to me what the even use of the cop infiltrating the island is if they just kill the cop off just so that they can reveal that it was his brother the whole time? It did nothing. It added nothing to the plot.
Well, no, that's not true. The cop infiltrating the island showed that. Sorry, anyone that hasn't seen it.
Look, guys, you come here for knowledge, guys.
Yeah,
okay,
and spoiler.
You don't come. It's not a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Your government's being taken over by the World Economic Forum. Spoiler alert. No, that's what they come here for. This is spoiler alert, David. This. Spoiler alert. We need a podcast name. Spoiler alert.
That might be it.
Yeah.
But
definitely not taken.
Well, the cop was a way to show you that it's all these like super powerful multimillionaires in the world coming to see the Squid Game, and it's like it's through him that you see their perversions and all this, all their indulgences. But I'd like to read you to all the awards the show that you thought was terrible.
Sure.
Outstanding lead actor in a drama series, outstanding directing for a drama series, outstanding supporting actor in drama series, outstanding supporting actor for all these different people, outstanding production design for a narrative contemporary program,
Your production design was outrageous.
outstanding stunt performance, outstanding single camera picture editing for drama series.
Okay.
I guess to your point, none of these are for the story.
Yeah, listen. Also, I mean, understated beauty. The female lead. What a beautiful girl. Like,
Oh, the badass one?
yeah.
Yeah.
What a beautiful,
Yeah, she was,
beautiful
very pretty.
woman. Yeah, like it's like they were trying to make her as ugly as possible. I was like, no, just ain't happening.
That's not working.
No, just ain't she. And then the other girl, she was a babe too.
Which one?
The one that they introduced in episode 5 just to kill in episode 6.
What did she look like? Because I don't remember. Just what did she look like?
I think she was beautiful. Brown eyes, David. I believe it was brown eyes that she had. Yeah.
What else can you tell me about her?
She had bangs.
Okay.
Yep, she had bangs. She was
Brown eyes, bang.
She was lithe. She. I hate that we're stealing an Amy Schumer bit that was stolen from a Mad TV.
Was
bit.
this really? Is it really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't watch bad comedy.
What are you talking about? She's the comedian of the year.
No, she's not.
Goes to show you what awards mean, buddy. Go look it up.
No, she's not comedian of the year.
You want to throw awards at me for why Squid Game is good? You look at Just for Laughs just happened. You tell me who their whatever comedian person of the year is, and then you get back to me about awards, buddy.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
Amy Schumer Comedian of the Year award. Oh no.
Oh no.
Just for Laughs was
Oh,
unveiled
no.
star power with Amy Schumer set to receive the Comedy Person of the Year.
Boom. Not Dave Chappelle. Not Bill Burr. Definitely not Andrew Schultz. Amy Schumer. Comedy Person of the Year.
Dude, okay. Are we just gonna? Oh no.
We got awards, David.
No.
Awards.
No.
But awards. I thought awards were. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. Oh my God.
That's like, oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't That's with Caitlyn Jenner winning Women of the Year.
With not even being a woman for a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's what I meant. It's like, why?
Because fuck you, David. That's why. Because the elites are gonna do what the elites are gonna do. I'm telling you, at this point, they're just having fun trying to manipulate reality and to see how many people go along with it. I want to know like where all this stuff's coming from. I want to know like who is the tip of the spear? Who is the person at the top of the top that's like, yes, this is what we're gonna do.
As far as what? As far as
any of it, all this social engineering, and that's really what it is. We're being social engineered, right? I mean, is that still conspiratorial to say? Or wait, no, I'm sorry. Wait. I was told by a lawyer what I need to say to not get kicked off the boob tube here. I have to pose things in a question. I have to train myself better to say, isn't it possible, David, that we're being social engineered?
Possibly. Whoa, I got a comment here from Kid0437, and he goes, thoughts on Facebook and Instagram banning Andrew Tate. I had no idea.
Did they do that? I'm unaware.
I just looked it up. We're gonna pull it up here. From the BBC, Andrew Tate banned from Facebook and Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Meta has banned influencer Andrew Tate from Facebook and Instagram for violating its policies. The former kickboxer rose to fame, went to gain notoriety. At the time of his removal, Big Brother. Oh, what's going on here? This BBC, get your website in order.
Well,
what are your thoughts on that?
James Lindsay was banned off of Twitter last week for going after there's a professor who said that pedophiles are they're recycling this MAPS term, minor attracted persons, and that they should be not only have they been demonized and vilified, but they should be considered a protected minority group.
Oh,
yeah.
Here, I got the rest of the story here. So it
he
goes.
Called her a groomer and was kicked off Twitter. Now, what's interesting about that is you kick off James Lindsay, and this goes back to that brain rot, and this goes back to the Donald Trump conversation we had last week. You kick off James Lindsay for calling him a groomer. Okay, I disagree with it, but whatever. But you don't kick off the person who is trying to justify pedophilia. So it's impossible for any reasonable person to look at Twitter, private company, and say, well, they're not pro-pedophilia.
Yeah.
You're literally silencing the critic of someone who's trying to justify pedophilia, but you're not silencing the person who is justifying pedophilia. And the same thing with Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate says a lot of things that I find, comically abhorrent, because I think it's all an act. I think he knows what he's doing. But at the same time, explain to me when in history the people censoring opposition were ever the good guys.
No, yeah. That's not a thing. It's not.
I mean, if somebody's ideas are so terrible, if somebody's ideas are so horrible, then you should be able to easily defeat them and expose them in a public forum, right? Isn't that the idea? The idea is to shine a light on something that's bad, not to push it into the darkness. It doesn't make it go away. Isn't this the whole abortion argument that I heard from the left? The whole thing about Roe v. Wade from the left was, this is doing nothing to get rid of abortions. First of all, it drives me out of my mind. Roe v. Wade did not make abortions illegal. Roe v. Wade just made it illegal to make abortions illegal. So then the whole convoluted nonsense of that showed that the collective IQ of this country is getting dangerously close to single digits. That's number one. Number two, that's hyperbole, by the way. Fact checkers, that's hyperbole. That's satire and commentary, all right? Number two on that is all of these ideas, the more, let's say, the worse they are, they don't go away because you digitally gulag somebody. I also really don't like how comfortable people are with the deplatforming. You can hate Andrew Tate all you want, but this is the same mentality. Now, people say this is a massive leap, and this is me using a slippery slope fallacy. To me, this is the connective tissue. This is a preamble to genocide for me. As crazy as that sounds, people who are okay with people getting digitally gulagged, people getting deplatformed, these are the same people that are okay with concentration camps and all that other crap, as long as they don't have to ever see it, right? You hear stories about, back in everybody wants to go back to Germany, but concentration camps were a thing, man. Not just the Nazis. All over. Do you know what the kulaks are?
No.
Look up kulak. Kulak. And then, very interesting because the WEF is encouraging all of our governments to go after the farmer now.
A peasant in Russia wealthy enough to own a farm and hire labor.
Yeah.
Emerging after the emancipation of the serfs in the 19th century, the kulaks resisted the Stalin's forced cultivation, but millions were arrested, exiled, or killed.
Millions
Kulak
were arrested, exiled, or killed because they were able to be independent. They were outside of the cities. So when the Bolshevik Revolution took over and the communists took over, a lot of people left the cities. And then they still ran essentially a black market capitalist economy, bartering with one another, these farmers, right? Imagine you're a farmer and, I'm making tables. I'm a woodworker. You're a farmer. I'll give you this table for, a winter's supply of grain. And that's what they were doing. So people were able to opt out of the communist revolution. So Stalin went and rounded them all up and killed them all. Now, the independent farmer is under attack. If you look up, pull up what Thomas Massey tweeted today. Now, we know what's going on in the Netherlands. We know what's going on in Singapore. It's very interesting that Bill Gates has bought, I believe, over 300,000 acres of farmland in America. That they're going after the farmer now is very, very, very interesting in that that's what the Bolsheviks did after they took over.
So I have it here. Mm-hmm. It's he quote tweeted a Jeremy Lafrendo tweet.
Yep.
Talking about armed federal agents recently raided Amos Miller's successful organic meat and dairy farm in the old Amish village of Burdenham, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. The feds are demanding he stop farming and are economically crippling him with a $300,000 in fines. $300,000 in fines.
Now this is all coming together, right? So now, why is this important? There's a couple different things that, if you're a student of history, these things just start to really, really pop out as red flags. Okay, one, you have the kulaks. Now you have the World Economic Forum, which is stakeholder capitalism is a rebranding of communism. Klaus Schwab has a bust of Vladimir Lenin in his office. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I had no idea.
Yeah, but you can Google that, pull that up for the people. Klaus Schwab has a literal bust of Vladimir Lenin in his office. Now they're going after the farmer. They're saying it's for climate change. They want to control the distribution of food. And for the people like the Amish, who already live off the grid, they're being attacked by their own government for the crime of being self-sustaining. They're being self-sustaining. They grow their own food, they farm their own food, and they sell the food to their community. They don't have to go through any of the major conglomerates. They're not buying seed from Monsanto. They're not sending packages. They're not sending meat internationally. They're not playing the corporate game. And so then the corporations send their completely bought and paid for government to squeeze them. Why is this a massive red flag beyond the whole 100-year-old convoluted kulak analogy? Not analogy. What would be the word I'm looking for? Example. Well, this is yet another example.
Got the picture here for the
Klaus Schwab with the old Vladimir Lenin. Yeah, pretty interesting that the guy taking over the world, and for everybody talking about democracy in peril. This is a black time for democracy. Well, this guy has Vladimir Lenin, a bust of Vladimir Lenin, the world's preeminent communist dictator, the guy who essentially was the very first to implement a communist government as the bust in his office. This guy is now essentially the thought leader for the world. And we have farmers under attack, just like the kulaks. We have a weaponization of our agencies, right? We are weaponizing our agencies against Americans. That is something I can't think of that's ever happened before in my life. This is the type of stuff that Nixon got kicked out of office for. Watergate. He used the power of his office to spy on his opponents and the entire country, regardless, Republican, Democrat. They said, you got to go, bro. You got to go. You can't do that. Now we know that Obama used the IRS to spy on the Trump campaign. We know it. Didn't happen. No, I'm sorry. Used the FBI to spy on the Trump campaign and used the IRS to squeeze out political opposition, to squeeze out the PACs that were running against him. The IRS is on record apologizing for it and paying out settlements to over 47 of those groups. That's not an issue. Then the FBI, we talk about whether you think Trump deserved it or not. The fact that he's the only person, him, Michael Flynn, Rudy Giuliani, Project Veritas, and then you were able to find one mid-level state congresswoman who's a Democrat that was raided as well. So the FBI clearly has an agenda. Did you see what the former director of the CIA said about Republicans? No. This was big news over the weekend too. You can look that up. And again, it sounds like I'm cheerleading for Republicans to people that don't. The left to me has a broken brain at the moment, because anything that says any indication that their side is playing dirty pool, that their side is engaging in destructive politics, they immediately say, well, it's both sides. It's both sides. Both sides do it. I'm sorry, guys. Both sides have their own evils. And again, I am a guy that marched against George Bush. I'm a no blood for oil guy. I think the George Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld foreign policy is one of the great atrocities committed on planet Earth. I think that they are war criminals. And the fact that because Dick Cheney's daughter stood up against Donald Trump, that the left, the progressive left, would embrace Liz Cheney like this, would embrace Dick Cheney, tells me just how far the progressive left has gone. They actually don't care about America. In so much as, David, I don't think they like America. I think that they want this country to be dissipated and reassembled in their image. And I think that they're completely on board with a global plan to do that. Because the only thing stopping global federalism, the only thing stopping a global communist takeover is the United States. It really is. And within that, the only thing stopping the United States from joining that is Florida, certain parts of Texas, certain parts of the Midwest. And if they're able to get control of the food, if they're able to get control of the farms, well, then they can starve out all opposition. So again, we have a weaponized IRS. How many IRS agents are they? Did they add? 87,000 is what they're looking to add.
Yeah.
We have a weaponized FBI. We have a weaponized IRS. Pull up those IRS agents.
These guys look like they mean business.
Business.
I wouldn't want to mess with them. Let's take a look.
Man. Now, you tell me why on earth a bunch of accountants need $700 million worth of guns. And you tell me these people right here, they come to Amos Miller's farm.
Dude.
Who you taking? These people or Amos Miller?
I'm taking these people.
You taking these people?
That guy's in a wheelchair.
He's rolling on in.
A gun is the last thing he needs.
Dude.
No offense to anyone in a wheelchair. But listen, this looks like when I was growing up, there was this thing at the Sawgrass Mall, if you're familiar with South Florida, called Wanna Do City, where kids got to do whatever they wanted to do, and you can play anything. This looks like Wanna Do City. Like you took your kid to play pretend cop. This is what this looks like.
One of these people is going to chase after somebody, not have any trigger awareness, and shoot themselves in the face.
Dude, I honestly...
They're going to have their gun unholstered. They're going to be running probably away from somebody, not towards them. And they're going to trip. They're going to fall.
This is going to be the... One of these agents going to come audit a teacher in a public school.
For sure.
And be the next fucking school shooter.
Dude.
Where the fuck are those $300?
$80 billion, bro. 80 billion U.S. taxpayer dollars.
What's the purpose of it? Why do they have guns?
Well, this is what's crazy. We have to ask that question. The question has been answered. So you can cut it.
Is it cool if I leave it playing?
So the interesting thing becomes, why are they so concerned about American taxpayers?
This much. I'm going to pause it right here. Is this really how we're going to collect taxes?
So you're telling me, now remember, they're telling us, bro, that this is only for the billionaires. So you're telling me that they're rolling up to a compound, okay? All right? Like, let's say Patrick's probably the richest person you ever met, right?
Sure.
Patrick's the richest person most people ever met. Are those guys getting anywhere near Patrick's house? You've been to Patrick's house.
Yeah.
Are those guys getting through security?
Possibly. They got a gun.
No. My God, no. My God, no.
You can do anything when you have a gun.
As long as the other person doesn't have a gun.
It's true, a bigger gun.
And I guarantee they got bigger guns over there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that is training to take down a billionaire?
Is this really how we're treating our citizens?
Dude.
Like, right here, pausing this frame, like, is this how we collect taxes now?
To do what? To take that money and send it where?
Back to the IRS.
To the Ukraine?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then what's the Ukraine doing with the money? Do we check on that? Do we audit that?
Where do you think we're getting the IRS agents?
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, how much clearer does it have to be for people when they're going after independent farmers, right? This is Amos Miller, an Amish farmer, a guy that doesn't even have a cell phone. This is how our government treats him.
This is crazy, dude. This is crazy. This is insane.
Okay.
And is this the first time? Excuse my naivete.
No, it's all right.
Is this the first time the IRS is armed? Like, I've never heard of the IRS being like, oh, well, you also get a weapon.
To my knowledge,
or have they always been armed?
No, they have some armed agents. They have like some, but the IRS is predominantly accountants, lawyers. You know, it's a desk job. Right?
Yeah.
You know,
I've known it.
Bill Parcells has a great quote from the 80s, you know, when talking about, you know, the Giants going up against the San Francisco 49ers, the great San Francisco 49ers. Are you afraid? And he goes, I'm only afraid of spiders, snakes, and IRS agents. Like, so look, the IRS was always, they are a federal agency that has the power to cripple you financially. But they have the power to jail you. They have the power to take your things away. But normally they would send in, you know, they would do task force with other agencies. I don't want to get it wrong because I haven't done enough research on it, but I believe they started as part of the Department of Treasury. And before there was an FBI, before there was all these multitude, before there was Homeland Security, before there was NSA, the Department of the Interior, Department of Treasury, shit, I don't want to get this wrong, but this is how they took down Capone. Okay. You know, like they took down Capone. They were the ones that were doing all the you know, they would go and break up the bootlegging and
sure.
So Elliot Ness was from the Treasury Department, I believe.
I got a question though. Like when in a tax audit or anything would it ever escalate to this?
Yeah.
Like when would you ever need to use your gun as an IRS agent? Like this, hold someone up at gunpoint. Like what is can they arrest? I have so many questions. I don't know if it's just because I'm naive, but like when would they ever escalate to this?
Well, the fact that they're training to do that again. Now, this is again, we're trying to figure out like what's really going on here, because the same people that were telling us for the last 2 years we have to defund the police, are now okay with the IRS being militarized.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a militarization of the IRS.
Yeah. For what reason?
Yeah, and they're not cheap. It's
Yeah, and why do I have to fucking pay for this?
So it started as the Bureau of Investigation, which became the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Law Enforcement, U.S. Treasury Department. I was right, U.S. Treasury Department. Anybody that knows the history of the FBI, too, the FBI's, man, evil stuff coming out of the FBI. It's never been good. J. Edgar Hoover, they're starting to use a term, Tulsi Gabbard, the Democrat that everybody on the right likes, but I like Tulsi Gabbard. I've liked Tulsi Gabbard for years. This isn't new for me. But I do have that instinct. I do, and this is why I didn't watch Squid Games. I have that instinct of like I'm like such a, you call me a hipster, and sometimes you're right.
You are a hipster.
It's like everybody likes Tulsi Gabbard now. I don't like her. I used to like her. Now,
you little hipster.
Yeah. She went mainstream, man. No,
I just pulled up a picture of federal booby inspector.
Tulsi Gabbard is a babe too. My God.
Gerard, focus.
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 But she calls it. Oh man, she has a term. She's being the Democrat that she is. Her instinct is to rebrand. That's all Democrats do is rebrand. They're not, they're not pedophiles. They're minor attracted persons.
Bub.
This isn't a recession.
You're saying who does this?
Oh, the left is the
but you
king.
can't say the entire left is the one being like they're not pedophiles. They're minor attractive.
It's true.
Yeah, there are crazy fucking pedos that are saying that.
Sure.
That may share some of the same views as people that identify as the left.
Who does rebranding?
But that's super dangerous. What you just said, that everyone on the left considers, you're not pedophiles. You're minor attractive persons. That's not true.
Hey, listen, I don't want to be the good guy here. I have committed to playing the game by their rules. Okay, if they want to say,
but that's not what they're saying. A lot of people on the left would
because that's
reject that.
Then they should outwardly reject it.
They do outwardly reject it.
Show me one.
Okay, I will. This is what was it?
Because this brings us, and this is good that this is happening, because this brings us to Sam Harris. Sam Harris, would you agree that Sam Harris is one of the preeminent thought leaders on the progressive left?
I wouldn't know enough to say that he is or isn't, but he's a strong voice in there.
Yeah, and so Sam Harris was on a podcast answering questions about, how he was so vehemently anti-Trump and pro-Biden, blah, 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 blah. And then, 6 months into the Biden presidency, he, to his credit, retweeted himself and said, it's going to be nice to have some adults in the room. And as we were sitting there with $6 gas at the time, getting pimp smacked by Russia, he retweets himself and goes, I officially regret this tweet. So good for him. But now he comes out and he says, about the Mar-a-Lago raid, that he doesn't care what the optics are, essentially. He doesn't care if it's, obviously, playing, but people are playing by two different sets of rules. And he concedes that it is. He goes, yeah, absolutely. Raiding Trump while and you can pull it up, so I don't want to have to paraphrase him. You can pull it up. I sent it to you. Raiding Trump while while actively suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop, while ignoring the Hillary Clinton emails. Is it wrong? Well, then he begins to qualify why you can see why people would think it's wrong, but why it's actually not wrong, because it was so important to get rid of the orange man. It doesn't really matter. He goes as far as to say that there could be dead kids in Hunter Biden.
Do you want me to play it?
Sure.
Okay, 1 sec.
Everything on Twitter is fair use. YouTube. This has been adjudicated.
At that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? There's nothing.
Jesus.
First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, Like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right, or China, it is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like a firefly to the sun, right? I mean, like there's just it doesn't even stack up against Trump University. Right?
Sources?
Trump University as a story,
Trust me, bro,
is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop.
Really?
In my view, right? Now that doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account. Like
suppressed it.
Just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely, it was. Absolutely. Right? But I think it was warranted.
Nothing before the but matters.
And again, it's a coin toss as to whether or not
Sam, I'm sorry.
that particular piece.
I'm really sorry. I was the one that said we should move on, but you've just
Go
said something I really struggle with there, which is
the kids in the basement.
No, fuck the kids in the basement. I'm interested in democracy. You're saying you are content with a left-wing conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically re-elected as president.
Well, no, I'm content. Well, but the thing is, it's just not left-wing, right? So Liz Cheney is not left-wing, right? Liz Cheney is doing everything in her power.
You're content with a conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically elected.
But there's nothing conspiracy. It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open. But it doesn't matter if it was. It doesn't matter what part's conspiracy, what part's out in the open. I mean, I think it's like if people get together and talk about. All
right, cut it off. He does word salad from here on.
If there was an asteroid hurtling toward.
Yeah, that's what Trump is. He's an asteroid, hurtling toward.
Well, can we finish?
Sure, good.
Earth, and we got in a room together with all of our friends and had a conversation about what we could do to deflect its course. Right? Is that a conspiracy? Like some of.
That is the dumbest Sam Harris has ever sounded out loud. This is a guy that went toe-to-toe with Jordan Peterson. This is a very smart, intellectual person, very well-read. But this is the broken brain I keep talking about. That man right there has a broken brain. Because essentially what he said, and now this is why I bring this up, is because this is analogous to our last two conversations about this. There is no scope of corruption that the left at this moment is not willing to tolerate as long as it's their corruption. It's always there's always
at that point.
There's always a justification, right? Like January 6th, we keep hearing that. The Fauci effect. Did you see that with that guy?
The Fauci effect?
Oh my God. And he shoehorns January 6th into the conversation. This after riots where scientists, trust the science, signed a letter of approval, a referendum saying that the protests and the marches and the riots should be allowed to happen because racism is a pandemic as well.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's old news. You weren't aware of that?
No.
Oh, dude. Google that real quick. That they literally signed off saying, hey, look, we know COVID's bad. And everybody has to be locked inside. And all businesses should be shut down. And social distancing should. But the riots are okay because racism is a pandemic too.
Oh, yes, I do recall that. Yeah.
So, Fauci effect, Sam Harris, there's no scope of corruption that anybody on the left, and this is why I gotta put everybody in there, David, because I don't see anybody not named Tulsi Gabbard or, to his credit, Andrew Yang, two people who have been excommunicated by the Democratic Party, mind you, saying, guys, this is ridiculous. No. Corruption's corruption. What do you mean the riots are 93% peaceful? Would you stay with your husband if he was 93% peaceful? It's like, hey, look, he only beats me 7 out of every 100 times I see him. That means, just for people that don't understand what that means, if you were in a relationship with a spouse who was 7% violent, in 365 days, that means you'd catch a beating 25 days. Do you understand? That and that's not the flex people think it is?
I pulled it up here from time.com. 93% of Black Lives Matter protests have been peaceful, new report finds.
Yeah, good for them.
The vast majority of Black Lives Matter protests, more than 93%, have been peaceful, according to a new report published Thursday by a nonprofit that researches political violence and protests across the world.
Okay. So again, does anybody think that it's okay that all those protesters are walking around free? There's a woman with cancer, a 60-year-old woman with cancer, who literally walked through the Capitol building, who's doing 6 months right now. There's a guy who's been in solitary confinement since January 6th of last year. They are making a point to everybody. You want to burn down the mom and pop the mom and pop next door? You want to burn down Target? That's fine. As long as you're doing it for us. As long as you got the Democrats back, we got your back. But you step out against the government. You step out against career politicians, career law enforcement, career media. We're coming for that ass. That's the message that's loud as day, right? I mean, this is mafia stuff, brother. This is mafia tactics. This is pay the vig and fly the flag or else. Right? And we got to hear about democracy and fascism. Let's just go down the line here, David. Who's censoring speech?
The left.
Okay. Who is weaponizing the government against their political opponents?
Who's weaponizing the government
Yeah.
against their political opponents?
Yes.
I'm not going to say it. The left, but also
What's the but also?
the right.
Where?
Where the left?
Huh? You serious?
Give me examples here.
All right. The IRS.
That was all left?
Yeah. The IRS going after conservative groups.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Okay. So the IRS goes after conservative groups. Then the Democrats take power, and give the IRS $80 billion and 87,000 more agents and $700 million worth of arms. That doesn't seem interesting to you?
Does it matter at all to you if they apologize for it? I'm not kidding. IRS apologizes for aggressive scrutiny of conservative groups and legal settlement that still awaits a federal judge's approval. The IRS, quote, expresses its sincere apology for mistreating a conservative organization called Linchpins of Liberty, along with 40 other conservative groups in their applications for tax-exempt status.
So if you want a both sides argument, although I think it's weak, if you want a both sides argument, you have
Apologized.
You have states. You have some states, Missouri, saying that they're never gonna adhere to any Second Amendment restrictions. They will always be using the term that Democrats love using for immigrants. Sanctuary state. They're a sanctuary. They're going to be a sanctuary state for gun owners. You have, people in Texas and Arizona taking the undocumented citizens. That's always one, by the way, that I've always loved. Undocumented citizen. Talking about the left rebrand. Illegal immigrant became undocumented citizen. It was just because, they haven't been processed. No human being is illegal. And it's like, okay, that's fair. But the audacity of the term. Do you think if I hopped the fence at Nancy Pelosi's house and just let myself in, do you think I'd be treated as an undocumented dinner guest, or do you think I would be arrested for trespassing?
Yeah, the latter.
Yeah. So I mean, fine. You don't want to call them undocumented citizens. Just call them trespassers. They're trespassing. It's fine. And I am a huge proponent of immigration reform. I want people here who want to be Americans. I want people here. I would love to do a commie trade-off, man. I swear, I would love nothing more. Let me get 50 million commies in America, and we'll trade them to everybody in Taiwan that wants pro-capitalism, pro-democracy. Let's just trade off. You don't want to be here. They want to be here. I want them here. So this is not an anti-immigrant thing at all. But there are regulations and all this other crap. And my family came through Ellis Island, and I get it. I'm not anti-immigrant in any way. I want people that want to be here. But at the same time, I hate the rebranding of this crap. And I also hate the fact that it's politics. Because the only reason that they're flooding these states, they're flooding the southern border with people, is because they're trying to turn red states blue. And they think if we can't beat the political machine in Texas. So we're going to add 10 million new, Democrats over the border. Now, what's screwing with the left a little bit is that they keep going heavy into the trans LGBTQ argument, and that's turning all the second generation Latinx peoples. First of all, the fact that you call them Latinx, they hate you. Stop using that term.
Yeah, that's the weakest one, dude. I was upset when I saw the Latinx. That's just part of the language. That's just like, it's not.
Dude,
even
you're gonna tell people you can't use gendered language to an entire language that's gendered.
Yeah, it's like, what are you fucking talking about?
Hey, can we not use the word bro? That's gendered language.
Oh, fuck off, dude. Like, that type of shit just pisses me off.
Dude, you have one more election where Latinos go right, and then they're going to be building a wall down in Biden's already completing the wall down there. I don't know if you saw that, or they're reinforcing Trump's wall.
No way, really?
You got to be kidding me! You didn't see that?
No.
Biden is building Trump's wall, dude.
Get the fuck out.
I swear to God. I swear to God, man. He's, maybe he knocked his head when he fell off a bike, and he was like, "Oh, we need to build a wall." And they're like, "No, Joe, that's
That was the other guy.
That's the other guy. That's you from 20 years ago, Joe."
No, Joe, that was the other guy.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, wait, here it is. Biden administration to fill border wall gaps. No, Joe, no.
All right. So then we got the guy building a wall. We've got them silencing political opponents.
No.
We got them going after the farmers. You tell me. I mean,
Dude, this has to be a joke. No way. Joe, that's what we...
How about AOC? Again, let's run down.
Wait, why isn't anyone talking about this?
Dude, because who owns the media? We're talking about this, and I'm sure I'm gonna get deplatformed again for it.
Hold on, because now I think you got me. I think this is the part where I switch over. No, listen, because the media, everyone, bitched and moaned about this fucking wall for 4 years. Fuck your wall. Why are we paying for this dumb wall? You can climb over it. Why the hell is Biden? Was it like in the contract or something? Like, we got to finish it now that we started it? Like, what is it? Because now that it's being finished, you're not talking about it?
Well, this is the thing, right? What concerns me more is...
No, that's bullshit, dude. Now I'm pissed.
What concerns me more is, like, you're probably more in the know than almost any of your friends, right? So... if you don't know about it, how many of the people that run in your circles know about it?
Dude, I guarantee you no one knows.
So think about that.
It's like, technically, like, you could argue that, like, it is being covered, but it's like NBC News is a whole article on it. But
published on Friday at 6:00 at night.
Published. Let's see when it was. What, July 28th, 2022, 10:32 p.m. Wait, let's see when that was. July 22nd was a just real quick, was a Tuesday night. Well, everyone's getting ready for work.
Tuesday night at 10:30.
At 10:30 at night, they published this article.
Yeah.
Wow. No, that bothers me, dude. That really genuinely upsets me. Because then it's kind of what you argued last podcast, where it's like, well, regardless of whether I like the guy or not, we need to see objectively if there's some sort of injustice being, happening.
Perpetrated.
And this is fucking double standard. Biden's finishing that thing we didn't want. So why the fuck aren't we bitching about it?
Because Orange Man bad.
Davey no likey.
Orange Man
Old
bad.
man bad. I knew, fucking dude, I never liked Biden. God damn,
Dude, but Biden is, in many ways, he's the best of a bad situation. Look at AOC. They're talking about AOC already. They're gonna position her for, bigger things, right? Obviously, she's being groomed for that. But now they're already talking about her as a potential vice presidential candidate. Because now,
wait, hold on. So I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I need to read you how this article is worded here. It goes, the Biden administration on Thursday authorized completion of the Trump-funded U.S.-Mexico border wall. Okay, so they fucking authorized it, meaning they're like, yeah, go ahead. In an open area of southern Arizona near Yuma, where 4 wide gaps make it among the busiest corridors of legal crossings. Now, the following paragraph, ladies and gentlemen, is what really bothers me. Because when Trump was proposing this, I can't believe you're making me defend Trump right now.
Double Uno, reverse card.
No! Who am I? Where's my nose piercing? My tattoos, they're leaving.
Oh, man, they're never going to let you in a glitch again.
Dude, what bothers me is that when Trump did it, it was a sign of hate. It was like he was racist. He was all this shit. And I was the one shouting it in the streets. I protested against it. I was like, dude, fuck that guy. It's such a dumb waste of money. You can fly over. But this is how they word it, NBC. NBC words it the following way, ladies and gents. They go, the Department of Homeland Security said in a statement that the work to complete the project near the Morelos Dam will better protect migrants who can get hurt slipping down a slope or drown walking through a low section of Colorado River.
It's a humanitarian wall.
Oh.
The wall's actually good for the climate crisis.
It's a fucking waste of my money, mate. That's what you're doing. You're wasting my fucking money because they'll just fly over. We made this argument. So fuck their safety. I could give a shit. They don't fucking live here.
Yeah.
They fly over. They fly over.
Yeah.
You know what? Oh, God. Why isn't John Oliver talking about this? He said it when Trump did it. It was like, oh, this just makes a great business for large ladders, tall ladders. Now it's about their safety?
I do have to give credit to Trevor Noah, however. He essentially said this, not about this topic. I forget what it was. It was a week ago or it was 2 weeks ago where, you know, and Bill Maher, you got to give a ton of credit to Bill Maher. And he's being excommunicated. When Samantha Bee got canceled, everybody was like, well, Samantha Bee goes, but not Bill Maher? Is there no justice in this world? And I was like, what? Now you guys hate Bill Maher because Bill Maher is like, hey, you know, like maybe don't have 6-year-olds going to drag strip clubs. Like, I don't know. They're like, no, get this guy out of here, dude. It's wild right now.
Gerard, you don't know how fucking nothing I know is real. This is the first time that I can genuinely say I'm upset of like a double standard it's like, how could you word it that way now?
Dude, AOC has said that she would put conservatives in re-education camps. And that hasn't disqualified her from public service. Not only has it not disqualified her from public service, there is a whole section of the Democratic Party that wants a complete redo in 2024 with Gavin Newsom as the presidential candidate and AOC as his running mate. They're basically doing the Biden Kamala thing where it's like, you know, old white guy and, you know, progressive person of color-ish, I guess, you know, woman. But yeah, I mean, this is a person who has literally said, you know, that she would put her political opponents in camps out loud. So
we got something from Reuters here. Fact check, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez conservative trader's tweet is fabricated.
No.
Social media users have been sharing a screenshot of a fabricated tweet allegedly from Democratic representative saying that now that Joe Biden has been elected president, they should begin the purge to round up conservative traders that will be worse than the Holocaust.
It's before that, dude. That's completely bullshit. Ocasio-Cortez put in re-education.
Yeah, I did. I got this from The Atlantic. Mm-hmm. AOC's critics are pretending not to know how language works.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
This time she's taking heat from Donald Trump's administration of operating concentration camps on the southern border. Some people, it appears, would prefer that she refer to them as tender age facilities, as the administration has proposed to, or at least some believe it is below the belt for Ocasio-Cortez to use a term that implies a parallel between Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, also, look up, hold on, I wish I could just send this stuff to you.
You can, just text it to me.
I'll just text it to you?
Yeah.
All right, so while I look this up, David,
Or you can airdrop it to me.
Carry the show for the next 90 seconds while I look this up, would you?
Yeah, sure. That's the thing, though, and we kind of have to look into all these things because if anyone tuned into Slick, well, I don't even know if the episode's out yet, but we recorded Slick and Thick last week, and there was a tweet that Gerard saw where it was a police department in a town in California that painted their squad cars with the pride flag, and that they later tweeted that, they took off the U.S. flag and they replaced it with a pride flag, and that they said in a tweet that they could not represent a, what was it? What was the... they could not represent a oppressive regime.
Image of oppression.
Image of oppression. So Gerard said that, and I said, Cap, that's a lie. There's no way.
In fairness, I said it was sent to me, and I haven't verified it
This
yet.
is true. No, but you were very confident in it. We have the clip.
True.
And I said, dude, that's a lie. There's no chance that a police department in the United States would ever say something like that. He looked into it, and he said, well, it's from Rockyville, California. And I said, is that even a real place? Looks into it. It's not. It was all a fabrication.
Sure.
But
so out of everything I've said, everything I've said that's been documented, been posted, online, how many times have I been wrong over the last 2 years that you know me? You definitely got me on one that I didn't do my research
I got you on that one.
That's for sure.
For sure. But what I'm trying to say is, and not to like discredit anything that you're saying, but it is fucking uber important to look into everything.
Sure.
Question it all, even if it goes with what you're tending to believe.
Sure. So this is from her. All right. Is anyone archiving these Trump sycophants for when they try to downplay or deny their complicity in the future? Talking about leading up to, remember what they did. We should not allow the following groups of people to profit from their experience: those who elected him, those who staffed this government, and those who funded him. Okay? Meaning that she wants to keep a blacklist of anybody who worked in the Trump administration. That's number one. Number two, all right, is, now, this is where my conspiratorial mind goes crazy, is that, there's either a Mandela effect here where I feel like I read these tweets and they didn't, or what is more likely, because I just had to go to page 2 to find that one that I knew worked. These tweets are being hidden off Google for some reason, or that's improvable. I have to learn better. I'm sorry. Social media overlords. I have to say, I have to pose it in a question, David. What's the question I would ask there? I'd have to say, isn't it strange that these tweets are?
It's like Jeopardy.
Isn't it strange that that's the way you got to defend yourself. That's that's the way that you stop the deplatforming, apparently, is to pose questions. We're still allowed to ask questions. We're not allowed to make declarative statements. So, is it possible, David? Alexandria, I know it exists. Look it up while I talk for a second. She talks about people needing to be re-educated.
Well, do you want to? I want to talk about this Minnesota teachers fired if white thing you brought up to me.
Go ahead.
What up? I found an article here by the New York Post.
Minnesota sweet.
It says Minneapolis school district defends plan to lay off white teachers first. From the New York Post.
Okay.
Minneapolis.
So for people that don't know what's been proposed, normally what happens in unions, just so people know, this isn't a Minneapolis thing, this is a union thing. Last in, first out. Whenever there's downsizing, whenever somebody has to be fired, whoever was the last person hired would be the first person fired. That's the way unions kind of protect themselves, right? There's also kind of like a scumbag thing about that as well, because your union dues are a percentage of your salary, and the people who are last in are the first ones fired. So it's the way of the union protecting their large dues. It's another thing. A lot of people love unions. I think it's very, 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 very important to discern between public sector unions and private sector unions. I think private sector unions are a very good thing. I think private sector unions are a way for employees to rally around a common cause and protect themselves from, exploitative employers. Many times they're internationals. What that means is that if a Chinese billionaire wants to build a building in New York, and they hire companies, the companies can unionize for better wages, better working conditions, and so forth. Now that's, to me, more than fair. That's collective bargaining in the in the private sector where a bunch of employees can say, we're going to do this job. This is a big job. We're going to do it. We're going to do it right, but we're not going to kill ourselves doing it, and they can negotiate with those entities and come up with something. Now, the public sector is completely different. Public sector is government. Public sector is taxpayer funded. Teachers are in a public sector union. That, to me, is a horror show because they're not negotiating with anybody. They are given whatever leeway they need by the politicians because the politicians need their votes. So the public sector unions oftentimes are a slush fund for corruption. That's just the truth of the matter. That's the unfortunate truth. That includes police. That includes firefighters. That anything that's a public sector union, government employees, I am remarkably skeptical of. And that leads us to Minnesota, who is doing something that is very clearly against the Civil Rights Act. But
I can read you here the article. It goes, Minneapolis Public Schools is defending its deal with the teachers union to lay off white educators ahead of their less senior minority colleagues, arguing that it is a necessary measure to remedy the effects of past discrimination. The school district released a statement to the Washington Times on Tuesday offering a full-throated defense of the groundbreaking deal with the Minneapolis Federation of Teachers, led by President Greta Callahan. To remedy the continuing effects of past discrimination, Minneapolis Public Schools and the Minneapolis Federation of Teachers mutually agreed to a contract language that aims to support the recruitment and retention of teachers from underrepresented groups as compared to the labor market and to the community served by the school district, the district said in an email.
okay, so thoughts on that, David?
It's this like white guilt of like, hey, look, I know in the past there's effects of discrimination. So for things that, for crimes that our elders committed, I'm going to fuck over the people today just for you. Okay, thanks. That's my friend you're firing though. Right, but she's white.
Yeah.
Okay. That feels wrong.
Man.
Is she doing a good job? She's doing a great job. But, we're, budget cuts. So we're laying off the first white person we see. Hey, come here. You're off the fucking team.
Yeah.
I just joined. You're off the fucking team for white.
Yeah.
How's that not racist?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, what is white even? Italians are white for like 60 years. John F. Kennedy wasn't seen as white by a big percentage of the population. Catholics, back in the day, it was almost like inconceivable that a Catholic would be a president. Like, can you imagine how many years later, that's eye-rollingly, you know what the Know Nothing Party is? We talked about that.
Yeah.
I mean, so this idea of white, if anybody wants to read a terrific article by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Now, Ta-Nehisi Coates is a champion of the progressive left. Ta-Nehisi Coates, actually, if I'm correct, he wrote a...
there it is.
He wrote a Marvel Captain America comic book, comic series, where he made the Red Skull Jordan Peterson, and I'm wearing a Jordan Peterson shirt right now. But if you pull it up, it's called Except for the Blacks and the Irish. It's a great article talking about how he, didn't even know the history of the Irish in this country. And the anti-Irish imagery and all this other stuff, which again I find absolutely hilarious, especially being down here in South Florida.
Especially the blacks and the Irish.
That's it. It's a great article, really great article. If people want to read it, it's very 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 eye-opening.
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah, pull up a couple of those. We got to be careful on the language in there, but pull up a couple of those the pictures from turn of the century and look at. There used to be signs back in the day that, blacks and Irish need not apply and blah, 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 blah.
No Irish, no blacks, no dogs.
Yep.
Oof.
There you go. So, again, when I hear stuff like that, and it's like, well, white people are out, and now, I'm a white person, and I'm like, okay, you guys have no concept of my history, but somebody with a Z at the end of their name who has less melanin than I do down here in South Florida. It's hilarious to me. We've talked about this, and it's like, you are the literal descendant of a colonizer. Somewhere in there, you're a literal descendant of a colonizer.
Yeah.
I will give you $1,000 out of my pocket right now if you can name me one Irish colony. Doesn't exist. We were colonized. So on the same, the most hilarious thing in the world to me is that the people that are like, well, the white people should be fired first, are the same people with a Ukraine flag fist in their profile.
Yeah.
It's broken brain, dude. These people's brains are broken. They go along with whatever. Now, I got killed. I did something on PBD, and I said something, and people killed me for it on the internet. I said, anybody who watched...
Say it again.
No, anybody who watched... No, because I stand by what I said.
Yeah. No,
anybody who watched the movie Jackie Robinson, and they were looking at what happened. This was, I believe it was Jackie Robinson Day in baseball, when and they said, man, how can America ever get to that place? How could anybody ever stand for such overt segregation? How can anybody do it? And then you would be one of these people who want the unvaccinated fired. You're one of these people who want the unvaccinated to lose their ability to make their living, to not travel, to not be in the same restaurants as you. Remember, they were checking vaccination status to if you could even eat. To go into a supermarket, you had to check your vaccination status.
Yeah.
You remember all this was happening?
Yeah.
Everybody was fine with segregation. You were fine with segregation, people. You thought it was justified. And then everybody came after me. That's not the same thing. One was somebody's skin color. And this, to me, goes back to why communists are okay with killing 1 million kulaks, but the Nazis are the bad guys, not the commies. See, I look at a Nazi and I look at a commie, and I see the same person. I look and I see the same human being. They think that they're the polar opposites. And it's just because, well, we killed 1 million people, but at least none of it was, none of it was biased. At least we weren't killing people because of their skin color or their religion.
Totally. It goes back, sorry to cut you off, but it goes back to the wall. It's like Trump built a wall because he's racist. Biden's building a wall so they're safe.
Humanitarian.
Fuck are you talking about, dude? You've lost the plot.
The wall's getting built. Yeah, it's like now we're here, right? We're 2 years later, and the CDC comes out and pulls up. Oddly enough, the same day Mar-a-Lago is raided, the CDC comes out and says, oops, yeah, turns out we shouldn't treat the unvaccinated any differently than the vaccinated. And all those guidelines we gave you, we're kind of going to pull back on those.
Now, I got an opinion on that, though, on what you just...
Go ahead.
Because, to be fair, they didn't say oops, as in like retracting what they had formerly said.
Okay.
But that their guidelines are easing up.
Yeah, trust the science.
Well,
science changed.
You could argue that it's because the virus is watering down.
Could you?
It's not the same deadly virus that it was, or a scary big virus that it was back in 2020. So now that we're dealing with like a lesser, weaker version of COVID, it's like, okay, well, now we can lighten up, and there are more people being vaccinated and all this. We can lighten up.
There are not.
There are not more people getting vaccinated every day?
They're not, no.
So what have you been bitching about for the last month and a half about people getting vaccinated?
No, the bitching is not about people being vaccinated. Anybody who ever wanted to get vaccinated, I supported their decision. Anybody who wanted to be vaccinated, God bless you. Go get 3, 4, 5 shots. Go for it. I don't care if you're vaccinated or not. That's your decision. My bitching is that people took the government's position of forced vaccination. All right.
Okay, fair.
That it had anybody who ever wanted to get vaccinated, you do what's best for you, you do what's best for your family. Anybody who supported somebody losing their job from an experimental medication, no. Absolutely not. And especially now that we know, like Moderna had to throw out 30 million doses because nobody wants to take this thing.
I got something here from the usafacts.org where it says, what's the nation's progress on vaccinations? It's a U.S. coronavirus vaccine tracker. It says at least 79% of the population has received at least one dose. Overall, 67% of the population is considered fully vaccinated.
Okay, so let's go through that because I call bullshit. All right. Now, I don't know if I'm allowed to call bullshit or if this
Should we not even go
episode is
into
going to
this?
get taken down. What percentage of the African American population is vaccinated?
Let's see if it even has that sort of.
Because I believe there's a problem in New York right now that they won't let unvaccinated kids go back to school. And why is that specifically a problem? Because as much as 40% of the African American population is unvaccinated. So by not letting unvaccinated kids go to school, you're saying almost half of every black kid in New York can't go to school? But you're not anti-segregation. But you're not pro-segregation. You're not pro-segregation. No, absolutely not. You're one of the good guys. So if we keep hearing that everybody under 30, the vaccination status is incredibly low. If we keep hearing that certain minority groups' vaccination status is pretty low, then you're telling me that 70% of the population? Okay, sure. Now, not that the media or our government would ever lie to us, because no, they wouldn't.
I couldn't fathom that.
These are good people that have our best interest in mind. But then we look at Moderna CEO at the World Economic Forum complaining that he can't give away his vags.
So what percentage of people in each race?
30 million. 30 million unwanted doses. Moderna dumps 30 million. Go ahead, pull that up.
I got here the answer to what you were saying. According to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, this is a race. There is a race or ethnic information for 74% of people who received at least one dose, 78% of people fully vaccinated. So it seems like about half of the black population in America has received at least one dose. And I'd say a little less than half. Okay, here we go. Received at least one dose, 49%. Fully vaccinated, 43%.
Okay.
Most vaccinated, according are American Indian and Alaska Native.
Sure. But do you understand how those numbers start getting really murky? So 70% of the 70% of the population is fully vaxxed.
67%.
But half of 15% of the population is not already off the top. Okay.
Well, yeah, the other would fall into at least one dose, or additionally, 32% of the population has received a booster dose,
Interesting.
according to usafacts.org.
Yeah. We got a lot of unexplained deaths too, huh? Climate change. Wow, crazy. Amazing how.
Now you're asking about New York?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like 78% is fully vaccinated, 92%.
Okay.
92% received at least one dose.
Sure.
And 37 at least got one booster.
Those numbers seem more realistic to me because that place is as far left as you could possibly get.
Now we go to
and everybody's on board. They're still wearing masks out there. I mean, this is the corniest gang flag of all time at this point.
A fully vaxxed in Florida is 68%, 81 to one dose, and 29 for a booster.
So you tell me, you live here.
Yeah.
Does that number sound right?
Yeah, that sounds right. It's a lot of old people here.
Okay.
68% fully vaccinated, 14 million people. Yeah, that sounds about right, dude. That sounds about right.
10 million out of 14?
81% got at least one. That sounds about right, man.
Okay.
You think that's not true? You think it's
don't.
way lower?
I do. I think a lot of people lied to keep their jobs. I think a lot of people got,
Well, I'm thinking these numbers come from when you actually get vaccinated and they write you down in their little system.
Well, then how do they know? If nobody got tested, how would they know? So that's only the people that went in and turned it down?
No. This is when you get vaccinated.
So think about but think about what you just said. So how many people never went in? If the numbers are how many people went to the doctor.
Well, I guess you compare it to most recent census of the population. You go, okay, well, this is the total number, and then this is the number of people that did get it. This leaves out this number.
Okay. I don't have the answer. I remain skeptical of those numbers because
I'm sure you would because
some of the statistics don't add up there.
I don't blame you. I mean, I doubt fucking everything. We were just talking about it a little bit off the show where it's like, well, you were saying like, I sent you this TikTok of this conspiracy theory of like the Joe Biden that we see today isn't the Joe Biden we've always known. And my question was like, is this too far? And you're like, right off the cuff, yes. But how crazy the world is, honestly, if this was true, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's it. I've lost my ability to discern fact from satire, first of all. I don't know what's a joke and what's real anymore until I look into it. And number two is like, look, my initial knee-jerk reaction to things, I've had to get rid of it. I've had to stop dismissing things outright. Like, people want to tell me we never went to the moon, and I used to be like, Jesus, with these people. Now I have to be like, you know what? I guess it's plausible. I have to learn more. Like, my entire world now is, I just don't know enough. Like, I got to look into it. There's nothing I take at face value anymore. Nothing. There's just, we've gotten to a point, and I think that this is kind of the whole point of everything. If they can make you, David, if they can make you start questioning, whether or not there's 39 genders, they can make you question anything, bro. Anything.
Yeah.
And that there's a reason for that. We talked about the four olds in the communist revolution in the Maoist revolution in communist China. There's a reason they want to. Stable societies are not ripe for revolution. Stable societies, people don't like a lot of change when things are good, when bellies are full, when people are happy, when, suffering, poverty, like abject poverty, suffering is really, really, really small. It's subjective. We have people in America, we talk about poverty. There's a great story. I believe it was Klitschko. I believe it was one of the Klitschko brothers. And he was talking about how when he grew up, I believe it was in the Ukraine, in the USSR, and they were showing propaganda videos about the race riots in Detroit and Newark and, all these riots that were happening and America was falling apart. And look at how bad America is. And Klitschko and his friends were looking at that and go, does every apartment really have an air conditioner? Like, is there a car in every driveway? Like, oh my God. Like, they were looking at this. He remembers coming over to America, going to a supermarket the first time and saying, oh my God, how do they eat all this food? Who eats all this? Like, they were just blown away by the prosperity. And what we consider poverty in America is abject wealth for 90% of the world. So in order for them to take what was, and I believe is and still can be, the greatest civilization in human history, we've done it better than anybody has. And that's not to say we're perfect. We've got our warts, but this worked for many, many, many people for a long time. This country really, really worked. And in order for them to make the populace agreeable to change, they have to destabilize it. And in part of the way of destabilizing that is by making people believe that the things that are really good about this place are actually bad. It's oppressive, it's repressive, it's racist, it's this, it's that. And, this way, all the things, all the pillars, all those quote unquote four olds that the country stands on can be destabilized, taken apart, step by step. And then once they're destabilized, well then, new management banner goes across the front. Now, new management. The United States of America, World Economic Forum Company.
Oh, jeez.
That's where we're headed, unless we do something about it. And what we have to do about it is this. The first thing that we do that I really enjoy my time with you every week, David, and I hope that people do as well, is two people from different worldviews, different backgrounds get together, have a conversation. This conversation means something. This conversation where you call me out if I'm wrong, and I got no problem with it, and it educates me, and I call you out, or I really don't even call you out. I just present you with information that you may not be seeing otherwise.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then we have to say to ourselves, well, then we need to kind of analyze, well, why am I seeing this information and you're not? And then we have to say, all right, well, how many other people, you said something very, very salient last week where this is where you shut off. This gets scary or this gets that. So how do we communicate these things that are happening to people in ways where they won't shut off, right? How do we get this information out to people, right? Because that's the first step. And then the second step is, all right, we've told you everything that's going on. We said bad, 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 bad. But what I don't like, and this is the Tucker Carlson thing, right? he's great at pointing out what's wrong. Project Veritas, great at pointing out what's wrong. You know, Rachel Maddow for her side, fine at pointing out what's wrong. Ron Paul, a guy that I absolutely love, a guy who's been right about almost everything, a guy who the establishment media in Washington hates, has a great quote about Bernie Sanders where he says, I disagree with Bernie Sanders about pretty much everything, but he's not wrong in diagnosing America's problems. It's just the solutions he offers that are horrible.
Yeah.
So there's things that we can help each other see. There's things that we can help each other analyze. I, for one, think conservatives are terrible when it comes to poverty, in that a lot of them have never been poor, and they don't understand how hard it is, and they really don't understand how expensive it is to be poor. This is the pick yourself up by the bootstraps thing that I think is always wrong. Because, dude, if you're impoverished, you don't have a washer machine and a dryer in your house. You don't have a house, you got an apartment. Let's say you've got kids, so you got to do laundry. Do you know how expensive laundry is at a laundromat? Every time you do a load and you will do a wash dry, it's $20, $25, and 2 hours of your time. Right? So, I mean, things accumulate. They pile up. If you can't afford a car, you have to take an Uber. You got to get to work. That piles up. You know, the buses, trains, planes, you know, our infrastructure crumbling, you know, not being able to go to places. We had the pilot on last week, you know, talking about 30,000 people were laid off. That's why you're 12 hours late. Well, if you're 12 hours late and you miss a meeting, you know, what do? You can't schedule meetings. And there's just some things that can't be done virtually.
Yeah.
You can't send it in. You can't virtually look at an oil rig with your engineer. The engineer has to get there.
Yeah.
He has to look at that. She has to look at it.
Yeah. 37,000 people were offered in early retirement.
No. 30,000 people were laid off. No. They were laid off. The people who were offered early retirement were the pilots.
Oh, excuse me. You're right. I apologize.
They took $7 billion in PPP loans, which, if you remember correctly, were supposed to go where?
To staff. And
Staff.
stuff, yeah.
And they laid off 30,000 people. And they used the vaccine mandates to justify it because these people wouldn't get vaxxed. Right. They weaponized medicine, an experimental medicine, mind you. Horrible time in human history. And the worst part about it is nobody's being held accountable. Nobody's being held accountable. And that's why, you know, I want to leave today off with what we talked about last week, which is the debt strike. And why I think that this is such an important concept, and why I want to thank everybody that, you know, shared it and commented, because I am going to admit I'm not an organizer. I'm not a community organizer. I'm not a leader. I have this idea, and I don't want credit for it. I don't care. I want somebody to take it and run with it. Take it and run with it. Please. You know, I want to save the country I love dearly and desperately. I want to save, you know, this. I want my friends who have kids that I know have such anxiety about where the country is now. I have anxiety about where this nation is, and I have relatively nothing to lose. I can't imagine people who have their entire lives, their savings, my parents who are getting close to retirement age, and they're like, man, I don't even know if inflation keeps going up. Like, it's eating away. Imagine my parents who did everything the right way, did everything I didn't do. They didn't take the risks I did. They didn't live the life I've done. You know, I'm very narcissistic probably in their mind for how selfish I've lived my life. They don't travel. They don't spend on themselves. They've done everything the right way. They've paid down their bills. They've paid their obligations. They've saved their money. My dad already got hammered in 2008, lost everything, rebuilt, completely redefined himself in his career, rebuilt, and now he's getting ready for retirement 20-something, you know, what is that, 15, 16 years later? What's 2008? I don't even know how to count. 14 years later?
Something like that, yeah.
And now the retirement, he's got to look at the stock market, and his retirement funds are going down while inflation's going up. Did everything the right way, didn't spend money, didn't run up credit card debt, and getting crushed for it. People I know have kids, and they want to send their kids to schools, but they don't even trust the education system anymore. They're saying, man, why am I sending my kids to school so they can be taught to hate me? You know that there's 2 million 2 million kids more homeschooling this year than last year. 5% in 1 year.
Yeah. I got the article if you want me to put a little.
Sure. We have lost all faith in our systems. And you know what? Anybody who still has faith in our systems right now, you're naive. We should be questioning everything and everyone at all times. You know? And I actually think it's a good thing people are homeschooling, because
Here we go.
education in this country has turned into just an absolute left-wing cartel.
Homeschooling reduces public school enrollment by nearly 2 million students. Education Next, an education policy publication, found the enrollment in public schools has dropped by 4%, an equivalent to nearly 2 million students over the last 2 years. Several factors contribute to the decline in public schools and public charter school enrollments: safe environment concerns, COVID-19 pandemic, mask mandate, and a bad academic quality.
Sure.
Recent increase in school shootings and hostile learning environments have affected the public's perception of how safe schools are for students. These concerns are only intensified when schools are located in unsafe environments, drug-infested, and the repercussions of negative peer pressure that continues to affect young students' mental health. These concerns are undoubtedly valid and pressing enough to make the parents want to protect their child by homeschool. According to the recent statistics on homeschooling, students who are homeschooled outperform institutional school students academically. The study finds that there are, because your mom's feeding you the answers. Just kidding. The school finds that there are 3.7 million homeschool students in the U.S., of which most homeschoolers are in North Carolina, Florida, and Georgia.
Well, I mean, think. There's a Pew Institute research, right? Pew does some great research and do some good polling. I want to say this is in 2020. What they found is liberal bias in colleges and universities. They were examining it. There's this whole thing like, is our college campus is really that liberal? Like, is it really that big of a deal? Every conservative talking head does. And what they found out was that it was worse than they even thought. And you are almost as likely on a college campus to have a self-professed communist as your professor as you are a registered Republican. You are 10x more likely to have a registered Democrat as your professor than anything else. So... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's the worst when you go in thinking like, how bad could it really be? And it's like, oh my God, it's so much worse than we thought.
So I don't know how that extrapolates out to public education, but I can think of maybe one teacher that I ever had that was an outward conservative. You know, I went to public school my whole life. I went to public school literally my whole life. Part of the reason my family moved from Brooklyn to New Jersey is my parents didn't want me and my sisters to go to public school in Brooklyn. So they were like, we can move to Jersey. They couldn't afford to send me to private school or Catholic school in New York. It's just too expensive. We didn't have that money. And then coming to public school in Jersey. Now, I got to be honest, man. I didn't learn much in public school. Anything that I learned, I really have to credit my mother and my father for, which is almost going back to that homeschool thing. Yeah. You know, they would sit there and literally teach and make sure I understood. And, you know, we've talked about it before, how my father was a little bit draconian in his tactics, how we weren't allowed to have anything in the toilet except for the dictionary, and that's what we would read in there. And, you know, that's where you know, I'm able to convince people I'm erudite from my, you know, it's literally,
what that means.
Yeah, it's a you know, fancy word for smart. The
Take your word
or at least well spoken. So I'll take your word for it. So the point is, but I did learn, you know, how to be a hustler. I learned how to be a charmer. I learned how to get away with as much as I possibly could when, you know, get the most out of the least amount of effort. And it wasn't until I went to college at public school at the College of New Jersey that I realized, oh my God, I'm so far behind my peers. You know, I am so far behind my peers, you know, who went to private schools. And a lot of it was just like disciplines. And the other big thing was who my friends were. And I never realized this is really what you're paying for in private school. Like my best friends, you know, one guy's dad was a landscaper, the other guy's dad was a plumber, another guy's dad was an electrician, you know, where my college roommates, you know, their best friend was, you know, his dad owned dad was part owner of the New Jersey Devils. Another guy is a CEO of Merrill Lynch. Another guy is the captain of, you know, police in Bayonne. And it's like, all right, well, I guess we're swimming in different circles here. And that's really what you're paying for. You're paying for, hey, I need a summer job and I'm roofing in the summers because, you know, that's my buddy's dad gets me a job. And I'm literally doing post hole digging and roofing, where other guys are interning at Merrill. And that's, you know, it's just, that's it. The whole like cliche, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It really is. It's everything. You know, what do you think you're actually getting a better education at Harvard than you are at, you know, whatever school you're at? The education is on you.
Yeah.
Whether you actually do the reading or you don't, whether you actually do the assignments or you don't. Education is, we're all autodidacts in a certain sense. Every one of us is responsible for our own education. You're doing a great job of educating yourself by listening to David the Commie and Gerard every Friday. We're dragging America up towards a double-digit IQ here from sunny South Florida. But no, that's really it, man. I mean, it's the circles that you're in. You go to Harvard, you're in a circle with people that are literally taking over the world. I mean, it was a Harvard professor. It was the dean. I don't want to get this wrong, but it was somebody high up at Harvard that facilitated the conversation between Fauci and the Chinese Communist government. I mean, Harvard's out there, you know, making deals between, you know, between America and China. I mean, that's you know, TCNJ ain't doing that. So that's kind of where we're at. Now, is it a problem, do you think, David, that you're 10 times more likely to have a Democrat professor than a Republican professor in college? Do you find an issue with that?
Do I find an issue with that? Yeah, I mean, just in the way that, yeah, in college but that's the thing, right? In college, you are always more liberal, like everyone, yourself included. Now, is there an issue that like your teachers are the ones that maybe feed you some of that? I guess, yeah, but then it's also, I take myself as an example where in college I was a little more liberal and now I'm defending Trump.
Well, the real world changes, man, but what happens to people that never go into the real world? Teachers specifically scare me. Teachers scare me because they never leave the classroom. They go from the classroom to the classroom to the classroom. And so, you know, they are perpetuating this idea. So if you're being taught that America is evil and that, you know, the founding fathers are all racist.
Yeah, see, that's something that I didn't, and I went to art school where you would think like, oh, that you're going to find a lot of liberal teachers. I was never taught or never, you know, told that, you know, America's evil and like we did all these bad things. I
guarantee you were told capitalism's no good.
Not by any professor, no.
Really?
That was, yeah, no. I think the most I'm not gonna say his name, but the most outspoken one, he was like one of my favorite professors. But it was never that like America bad. It was always like, you know, there's this corporate greed, there's this Republican greed, there's this, you know, fuck over the little guy, protect themselves.
Pretty interesting. It's always Republican greed, right? Like it's like every movie you ever see, every show you ever see, and it's always, you're like, man, is anybody even like met a Democrat? Like Nancy Pelosi, that's the good guy,
right? Well, they hide behind the like, well, we're protecting the little
I wore
guy.
a dashiki.
Yeah. Did you not see my swag?
I took a knee.
Yeah.
Why are you looking into my stocks?
Did you not see my pride?
I wore a rainbow.
So it was never that. It was just like, you know, I love this country and I don't want it, you know, becoming a place that is synonymous with xenophobia and homophobia and all this, you know, divisive language. And just kind of like when Trump was, you know, coming up into power. So, yeah, that was my experience. But I become aware of other colleges where the professors are much more vocal and much more manipulative of their young and impressionable students.
Yeah,
which is fucked.
To that point. You might be able to pull this up too, but I have a friend who just graduated from Columbia. She's great. Shout out to you, Shelby. Congratulations. As much as I'm shitting on Ivy Leagues, I am very proud of you that you were able to do that and overcome everything that you did early in your life. And she's awesome, Shelbs. Shout out to you. But everybody, she sent me this. The president of the school gave the commencement speech, right? And he said essentially that the First Amendment is worthless and that the First Amendment actually helps drown out the voices of the people in Columbia. Essentially, like, they've earned the right to have their opinion heard because they're Ivy League graduates. And they're Ivy Leagues. They're part of this elite status, right? And people who hide, quote unquote, hide behind the First Amendment online, they drown out the voices of the people who matter. So this is where this elitism is coming from more than anything else, where you're seeing this idea, and this is a massive Democrat problem. Massive Democrat problem. Jacobin, after you look up Columbia, Jacobin is the actual socialist and communist, it's one of the major socialist and communist publications in the world, Jacobin. And they said that the Democratic Party is becoming overwhelmingly white and rich, and they have an elitism problem. And this is not new. Jon Stewart was talking about the Democrat elitism problem 10 years ago.
I found something from Columbia president,
Go
by
ahead.
the way. So this is an article written in 2019, but Columbia University president, First Amendment scholar Lee Bollinger writes about the state of free speech on college campuses. So despite President Trump's claim that an executive order was necessary to defend American values that have been under siege on university campuses, Bollinger writes that Trump is ignoring two critical facts. The universities are more open to debates than our general society, and that arguments over what kind of speech is acceptable is nothing new. From flag burning to Holocaust denial, Americans of all ages have been grappling with basic questions about offensive speech for decades and will continue to do so for as long as the country strives for this ideal of openness and freedom of expression. Exchanges over the boundaries of campus speech should therefore be welcomed rather than reveled when they take place. Where he concludes that debates over offensive or hateful speech, whether on or off campus, are vital to protecting our First Amendment rights. This is from 2019. So maybe I can't find his speech from the graduation ceremony. But apparently he's a First Amendment.
She sent me the speech. I heard the whole speech. And
okay.
Yeah. So what, and I'm paraphrasing one part of it, but it was the part that most stuck out to me that was essentially, people who champion the First Amendment are a threat to what I will term as the thought supremacy that these Ivy Leaguers have earned the right to have. Do you understand? So, how dare this truck driver from Indiana think his opinion has just as much is just as valid as the Ivy League graduate from Columbia? How dare that troglodyte? How dare that plebeian think he has the right to his opinion? And that's the way it read. And that there is an elitism problem. There is a massive elitism problem where these people think that they have earned the right to have an opinion that other people haven't earned, right? Where, they got into the Ivy League school. They graduated the Ivy League school. I've got a PhD in basket weaving, and therefore my opinion matters more. So, meanwhile, you look at somebody and it's, we're rambling here, but I'm circling all the way back to the problem with education in America. A teacher looks at somebody with a PhD with reverence because they've never left schools, right?
Right.
There was, when I was being recruited, I really wanted to go to Seton Hall, and they had they had offered me the most money in scholarship and, great, Division I baseball program, but their manager was fired for essentially abusing his players. Like, he would make them if they showed up late for practice, he'd make them run around campus in their underwear as punishment, and stand like they were Jesus on the cross, and he got fired. So they wanted to hire this guy, John Valentin, who was an all-star in the major leagues. I was super stoked. I was like, I'm going to play for a big league all-star. This is dope. And he wasn't at Seton Hall. He went to Seton Hall. He got drafted out of Seton Hall. But after he got drafted his junior year, he never went back for his degree. So they didn't let him become the coach because he doesn't have his college degree. But everybody was sitting here and was like, yeah, but he played 12 years in the major leagues. He's got his PhD in baseball. And you're asking him to coach baseball.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't let somebody who didn't essentially pay to play. You know, it would be too much. It would be too, if he was successful, it would actually be too detrimental to the facade of superiority on the colleges.
Yeah.
Right? Because how could this guy who didn't get a college degree be successful? The only way you could be successful in this country is to get a degree. And then get a degree after your degree. And then after that master's degree, you need a PhD. It's the only way to be successful is to get another degree. So they didn't give this guy the job. Rutgers almost did the same thing with Eddie Jordan. Eddie Jordan had taken the Sixers to the NBA Finals as a coach. The guy played in the NBA, coached the Sixers to the NBA Finals. Then, now, in fairness, Eddie Jordan completely robbed Rutgers. Like, he didn't even recruit. He didn't care. Like, he used them as a retirement fund. But they weren't going to give him the job because he was like 4 credits shy of his college degree. This guy took an NBA team to the finals. You're asking him to coach basketball. I agree. Don't let him teach math. Fine.
Maybe they smelled it on this guy's gonna fuck us over, dude. He's about to retire. There's no chance he's actually gonna try.
Yeah.
Don't fucking hire him.
So again, it's this facade.
But if we don't hire him, they're gonna say it's because you didn't get his college degree.
Exactly. So it's this facade of like these people think that the only thing that matters is that the elites. Because what is a degree essentially? A degree is the elites checking off that, okay, we're blessing you. It's a blessing from the elites. Meanwhile, you look at your friends. You get out of school with a PhD in communication, something that doesn't matter, right?
Oh,
it just doesn't matter.
No offense to anyone that got a
No
communication
offense
degree.
taken. You know what? No, they know for a fact. Look, I am an English journalism major with a political science minor. I didn't go to law school, so I completely wasted 4 years. It's nothing. I can only do 2 things with my degree. I could either become a lawyer, which I need more school for, or I can be an English teacher. That's the only 2 things I can do. Right? So
Yeah.
you get out and you see people, and you know your buddies who you were taught are the guys screwing their lives up. The people screwing their lives up are the guys that got their CDL, or they got a trade. They went into construction, they went into plumbing, or God forbid they went into the military. Those were the biggest losers, right? Then the next thing you know, you come out and you've got debt, and you're going into a job that's paying you almost nothing, where you have to learn the whole job on the job anyway. And your first job is making coffee and doing bitch work, no matter what job it is. Right? And then you look up and you say to yourself, man, I'm finally about to break even and I'm 30. I'm finally about to get back to net zero after my debts are paid off. And you look at the guy who's been working for 12 years and you say, holy shit, this guy's halfway to retirement. He's got 13 more years to work. How come the guy, this is why the elites were so mad 2 years ago. This is why they hate the middle class. They're supposed to be, this is why I think the media hates the middle class, because they're the smart ones. It's outrageous to them that they work in the media as a journalist for $40,000 a year. Dude, Carol Ann calls me every Friday. I'm putting her on air. Carol Ann, you call me every single time I am on a podcast. Everybody say hi to Carol Ann Miljavic, who obviously doesn't follow the podcast and calls me every Friday when I'm doing a podcast.
I felt it in my soul.
Hi, guys. Say hi to Carol Ann.
Hi, Carol Ann.
Hey, everybody.
All right. So, Carol Ann, I'm just going to finish this podcast real quick and then call you back. Is that cool?
Yeah, you do that.
All right. Look forward to your call during next week's podcast. All right. So, the point I'm trying to make is, man, is that there's the elitism is rooted in 2 things. It's rooted in this idea that the only people that can give you the checks of success are the academic elites. You have to earn your degree. You have to earn their respect. That's number 1. Number 2 is their outrage that the people who eschew that system make so much more money than they do.
Right.
An electrician makes, let's say, it's hard in the beginning because you got to be an apprentice, but after your apprenticeship, these guys, if they work overtime, they'll make $100,000 a year easy.
Right.
They're going to be making $100,000 a year before you're even out of school. So then how many years do you have to work before you catch up? So you're being fed this program, this bullshit, you know? So the only thing that they have to hold on to is this sense of superiority, false sense of superiority often. Now you have your kids. This is why homeschool is so interesting to me, because you're going to send your kids to go to a place where they feed them that same bullshit, to buy into that same system, that the only thing that matters is that some academic elite blesses you, that some academic, that you get the approval of the elites. And how do you get the approval of the elites, David? Is it by your intellect or is it by your obedience?
Obedience.
100%. They don't care how smart you are. They care whether or not you're on board with what they're talking about. And now what are they talking about? You know, the quote unquote, what did Biden's guy say? The liberal world order. That's where it's all coming from. And not only that, China is pumping hundreds of billions of dollars into our education system. So where's all this anti-capitalist, anti-American conversation coming from? If someone gave you $100 billion, would you say bad things about them? Would you probably say what they wanted you to say?
I'm pretty two-faced, dude. I don't know.
He's a two-faced guy.
Hey, how about we go out on a lighter note if you're ready to wrap up?
I'm ready to wrap up, but I want to talk about the debt strike and why it's important. All right?
Do it. So we have a hug from a Little League if you want to end.
We'll end on that. But I hated the hug from the Little League. So sure. So the debt strike is so important. Why is the debt strike important? And then people want to know why it's not a tax strike. Very, very simple. All right. 2 reasons why it's not a tax strike. All right. Number 1, you can go to jail for not paying your taxes. You can't go to jail for not paying your debts. That's number 1. All right. So staying out of jail is a priority here. We're trying to change the country. We're trying to take the power back without anybody dying or going to jail. We're trying to do this peacefully and powerfully, okay? The other thing, they take your taxes out automatically. So if you don't want to pay your taxes, you're probably just screwing yourself out of a return. You're, 90% of the employees are taking taxes, and 100% of everything that you buy is pre-taxed. So there's no way to not do a tax. There's no real way to do a tax strike in a way that would be influential in any way. Why debt strike? And I've gotten some comments where people were like, you know, you agreed to these debts. Why would you do that? Why would you screw businesses? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. These companies own the politicians. And these companies, as we know from history, as we know from 2008, as we know from speaking to our pilot extraordinaire last week, they are leveraged out the gills. These companies make money off the float, and they're so interbred with one another that it would be a domino effect. If you get Visa, MasterCard, Chase, you get any of these banks to start taking an L. Look at what the government did to bend over backwards to protect 2 hedge funds against Wall Street bets with GME. What did they do with GME? They did everything they possibly could. They subverted every fiduciary responsibility the SEC has to protect Melvin Capital and whatever that other bank was, I forget, from losing billions of dollars in the GameStop. Now, what did they do? You know, we say, well, the banks are insulated. They're too smart. Are they? Look at the short positions that they had on GameStop. It took 3 brilliant autists, 3 brilliant monkeys on a Reddit forum to almost bring the stock market to its knees with 3 stocks. AMC and GME. So much so that the government had to step in and, well, how do I say this without getting kicked off? Is it possible, David, that the government stepped in and had a conversation with Robinhood and with Webull and with these trading sites and said, look, we're not going to come after you, but we can't allow what's going to happen? Because that GME stock might have gone up to $500,000 that day. It might have gone from $300 to $500,000. They could have ran that stock up to whatever they wanted because those shorts were closing, and those hedge funds were gonna have to pay. on those short positions. Wall Street bets got them. They got them. They nailed them. They nailed their asses to the wall. So these banks are so greedy.
They had to cheat to get out of it.
They literally had to cheat to get out of it.
Change the rules mid-game.
And they have no problem doing it.
No, did that happen? You couldn't sell? That's so...
And then we got the lip service from the SEC after. Well, this was a learning experience that we have to look at and say, okay, what are some ways that we can add in some consumer protections? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. But the short positions are closed now, so whatever. We can learn now.
Yeah, which actually, real quick, goes back to the whole white teacher thing where it's like, well, this is for past discriminations, past injustices. Then you don't care about past injustices, huh? Where's the fucking money you owe me then?
Yeah. Where's pay that to man? He beat me. Pay that to man his money.
Doesn't exist.
So this is what happens, guys. These people are greedy. We know this. These people are over leveraged. We know this. These people own the politicians. A shocking number of you don't know this yet. So how long is it going to take before one of these banks, one of these bankers how much did Wall Street donate to Hillary Clinton's campaign? Look it up real quick. How much did Wall Street donate to Biden's campaign? 9 figures?
Wall Street gives Clinton $27 million, but love affair may not last.
$27 million, guys. And that's what we know about. That's $27 million that they filed. That's not how many speeches that at $500,000 an hour did she give? How many appearances?
CNBC, Wall Street spent over $74 million to back Joe Biden's run for president.
There you go.
Do you want to know something crazy?
That's on the record, by the way.
Yeah, that's CNBC.
That's on the record, but that has nothing to do with the dark money. That has nothing to do with
The shit they not reporting.
That's 75 that we know about.
Yeah.
So you pay somebody $75 million, guys, and then 1 million crazy Americans say we're not paying our debts. We're just not doing it. We're out until things change. We're out until prices come down. We're out until you leave the farmers alone. We're out. Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street actually does something. We don't march. We don't break stuff. We don't ruin small businesses. We just say we put our cards back in our pocket. We start paying with cash. Small businesses only, no corporations. We give our money to the mom and pop. We give Amos Miller. We go to Amos Miller's farm, and we get our meat and our cheese from Amos Miller.
Yeah, but you forget, Gerard, they got 87,000 new IRS agents that'll take that money right back,
Sure.
baby, with their guns.
Sure, but IRS is about taxes. Pay your taxes. Pay your taxes.
They'll find a way to get their
That's
money.
that's what they'll do. They'll audit the shit out of people. Don't think that this won't be easy. Don't think the government goes to threaten first. The government threatens. The government, I mean, they out people. People go missing. You know? So the government's not going to take this lightly. But I'm telling you this would work. Because the 1 million people do it, 2 million people do it. 2 million people do it, 4 million people do it. You can't ignore 4 million people not talking, not paying. The news can't ignore it. They can ignore it for a long time. In America, they completely ignored the truckers taking over D.C.
Yeah.
They completely ignored it. They didn't cover it. The truckers shut down roads in America. The truckers did the same thing here they did in Canada, and the government just said, don't cover it.
Yeah.
Right? So
I was going to say, they would also never let you know that it's working.
But we would know. You know how we would know?
How's that?
Because the banks would start scrambling like crazy. And you'd start to see like hard targeted enforcement. So what we'd have to do to make this thing happen, we would first have to get a ton of money together. We'd have to get a war chest of millions of dollars together to pay for people, make sure nobody loses their house over this, make sure that people have bail, make sure that there's lawyers and accountants to help with tax filings. We'd have to make it so that anybody that was in on this, we could help support them from the attack that's coming. And as sick as it is to say, there's zero doubt in my mind that our government would attack us, its own citizens.
For sure.
Absolutely no doubt in my mind that this government would not, the government's initial reaction would not be like, wow, these people are pissed off, we should hear them out. Absolutely not. Our government would 100% attack us to protect their special interests. So that's where I'd start. Stop paying.
Could this, I mean, what would you say to someone that considers this a light treason?
Why would it be treason?
You're actively trying to fuck your government into...
I would ask them how not paying corporations usury fees is fucking my government. Because you're right, it is. But they would have to explain to the world why it is. Why? Hey, guys, why is not paying my student loans screwing my government? And also, why is it screwing my government when I've paid $40,000? Well, I haven't, but I'm just throwing numbers out there that I've seen people. People who've paid $40,000. I had a girlfriend. She's a teacher. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
But she took on, bro, I shit you not, she took on $200,000 in debt to become a teacher. She went to school for 5 years. It was $40,000 a year, $200,000 in debt. Now, here's what's crazy. To pay that off, she's going to end up paying about $300,000 to pay that off. 300. She's not going to be net even until she's like 13 years in her teaching career. To break even. If she had just worked minimum wage retail for that same 19 years, that's 15 years in her job. No, I'm sorry, 20 years. If she had worked retail for 20 years, her net worth would be like $170,000 higher than going to school and teaching. It's a raw deal, man. Raw deal. And they can charge that much specifically because of student loans. This is what kills me with, if we just get rid of student loans, we should make the colleges pay for it. The taxpayer should never pay for it. We make the colleges pay for it, right? Because they can charge whatever they want. This is what Democrats, young Democrats who don't understand how government works, this is where their naivete, to use your word, bothers me, right? Wherein they're like, well, we just want education. We just want to help people. Yeah, well, there's a $7,500 tax credit if you buy in the new Inflation Recovery Act. There's a $7,500 tax credit if you buy an electric vehicle. Did you know that? Yeah. Government will give you $7,500.
It's a funny way of pronouncing Green New Deal.
Sure, right? What did Ford and I believe Toyota, but I could be wrong. I know for a fact it's Ford. What did they do over the weekend? Does anybody have any idea?
No.
They adjusted the MSRP, their sales price of their electric vehicles, by $7,500. They raised the prices. You could theoretically charge $1 million a semester to go to college.
It's whatever people are willing to pay.
But they're not paying it. It's a government-backed loan.
Oh, that's true.
You can charge whatever, right? This is why college is so expensive. College is so expensive because of student loans. So stop paying. Let them eat that debt. And by the way, you know who owns most of our debt? China. So who would be really pissed off if we stop paying? The entire dollar, the U.S. dollar, folks, ever since Richard Nixon took us off of the gold standard, the U.S. dollar is a fiat currency. There is no tangible backing behind it. The U.S. dollar, the strength of the U.S. dollar is based on the American worker and their willingness and their ability, but really their willingness, to pay their debts. People believe in the U.S. dollar because we pay our bills. We don't go bankrupt. We don't have lapses. United States, a Lannister always pays his debts.
Yeah.
Okay? If we want to be heard and if we want to be taken seriously by this government that is militarizing itself against us, we got to stop paying. Like a parent with a drug addict child, you got to cut them off. You got to get their attention somehow. You don't want to hurt them. You love them. I love this country. I don't want to hurt it, but you got to get their attention. You got to cut them off because our government is an addict. Our government is addicted to itself. Our government is addicted to power, and it is addicted to money. It is addicted to wealth. It's greedy and corrupt beyond anything we've ever seen in this country before. There's a cancer amongst us, and you can't ignore cancer. You have to address it, and you have to rectify it. And it's a painful process. It won't be easy, but if you do nothing, you die. And that's why I think this debt strike is the absolute best thing that we could do, especially leading up to an election in 2024. Especially leading up to an election in 2024. Because we don't want the same old, same old. I do not want Trump and Biden in 2024. I do not want part two. I don't want right wing, left wing. I don't want extremism anymore. I want moderates. I want adults back in control. I want people that I, honest to God, think have our best interest as American citizens in mind. I want these people to feel empowered. And those are the people not making tens of millions of dollars off of corruption. Liz Cheney, the daughter of Dick Cheney, she's leaving Congress. She was just primaried out. She's leaving Congress with $40 million. She makes $170,000 a year. How do you accumulate that wealth? Guys, this is the move. This is the move that we have. You know, this is the move that we have. We just stop paying. We stop paying. Let Visa, MasterCard, imagine 1 month. How much money do you think passes through Visa, MasterCard, and American Express every month? How much money do you think passes through? If we just 1 month put our credit cards away, 1 month. 2008, the mortgage crisis of 2008 took $7 trillion out of the stock market, if I remember correctly. It halved the stock market. And that was just what? 500,000 foreclosures? 1 million foreclosures? Imagine if 1 million people put their credit cards away. Imagine if 1 million people stopped paying their mortgage. Imagine if 1 million people stopped paying their rent. Imagine they don't have the capacity to come and get you all. They have the capacity to get 1,000 people. They've got the capacity to get 100,000 people. They don't have the capacity. They don't have the manpower to get 10 million people. Oh man, I would love it. I would love it if every citizen in America pulled all their money out of the stock market tomorrow. Pull it out. I would love it if every citizen in America took out as much debt as possible. Take as much money from the banks as they will give you. Max out your credit cards and cash advances. Give yourself $200,000 of their money to play with and just don't pay it back. What's it feel like, guys? We should act like the government because that's what the government does. Government takes our money for nothing, doing nothing. And they say, well, hey, what are you going to spend our money on? I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll let you know. Hey, you think we can get some of that back? Nah, we're going to take more of it next time. Really? And what if we don't want to give it to you? Oh, no, we send men with guns to send you to jail. Oh, okay, cool. What are you doing with that money? Oh, we're giving it to our buddies in the Ukraine who give it back to us. Oh, okay. Well, I don't like that. What are you going to do about it? Okay, this is what we're going to do about it. We're going to take your money and not give it back. Imagine. Just imagine for a second. Imagine, let me paint a beautiful picture for you. You wanted to end this on a high note? This is it. Imagine 10 million people across America, David, taking out home equity loans tomorrow with zero intention of ever paying them back. Just walking around, everybody walking around with $200,000 in cash. All those high interest predatory loans, you always get, hey, does your business need $100,000? I can get you $100,000 tomorrow at only 75% interest. Yeah. Take the money. Take it from all of them. Take a $100,000 loan from 15 of these payday people. Zero intention of paying it back. Zero intention. Cash out. Max out your credit cards. Cash out. Hold the cash in your hands. Go to a mom and pop shop, pay with the cash. Don't pay that new 38 freaking cent, that 38% credit upcharge. No, pay them in cash. No money for Visa, no money for MasterCard. Take your money out of the banks. Ooh, we really want to get crazy. Take the money out. Walk around with cash. Everybody get a safe. Cash up. Commerce will still go on. You go to Amos Miller's farm and you pay in cash for your food and your drink. Homeschool your kids. What? Get out of the system completely.
Stop paying your internet. Don't watch this podcast.
It'll just be me and David sitting on we'll be on a pontoon going up and down the intercoastal with a megaphone. David, can't you see it? Wouldn't it be beautiful?
That's an interesting sight. I was thinking about it while you're going through it.
Who are we hurting? Are we hurting the little guy? No, we're paying cash, baby.
Guys, on that note, buy tickets to Gerard and Caroline Miljavik.
Yeah. Come see me before I get suicided. That would be great.
Yeesh.
I've had a good run anyway. I don't got much to lose. I tell you what, we could do it, guys. We could do it. They wouldn't handle the pain. Who's the first CEO to crack?
Oh.
You know what would be funny? Watching the CEOs try to buy us out would be what's really funny. Watching somebody it'd probably be like Dan Price or somebody like that, coming. These guys have been right the whole time. CEOs are the worst. Am I right? Buy my product. Then we sell out completely too. We're the next sellouts.
Dude, that's when,
the Citizen Debt Strike brought to you by Moneyline.
The White Walkers from Game of Thrones, the Night King would actually be Rockefeller and all the Rockefeller family coming out of the grave. They're coming fucking get you. That'd be it.
Yeah, the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum they drop the veil and they come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, that's when they all just go back to their lizard form.
That's right.
They're like, you dare not pay your debts.
It needs the debt to sustain us.
Oi. It's the debt. Yeah.
So step one, man. Step one is sharing it with people. Step two, get a war chest together to help the people, so that the people feel sufficiently insulated and supported. And step three is just having the will to see it through. Have the will to see it through. Play chicken with the most powerful people in the world. Stare them down from across the field and say, I don't know. How are you gonna pay for your $18,000 a month mortgage without our debts, buddy?
See, this is where their superpower of just being in the Illuminati or whatever the fuck it is comes into play, because
you're afraid of these people, man. You're afraid.
Realistically, if anything like this were to happen, then something crazy would happen worldwide. There's a new virus. The only way to get rid of it is to pay your debt. Or some shit like that.
We've spoken to the climate change gods, and they really don't like what you're doing, guys.
Yeah. It says that the new overflow of cash usage in the United States is actually negatively impacting the amount of... And then it's like, oh,
It'll be an environmentalist thing. It's these people are using cash, and why that's bad for the environment.
Yeah, or with this credit card, you get free... fucking passes to Disney with this new credit card that came out, or there's this fucking loan that you have to take out in order to for some bullshit they'll make up. That's how they would get you. They'd just make shit up.
They'd fraction it. The first thing that they would do is they would say this is a crazy right-wing conspiracy. They would try to frame us as Nazis or something like that first. They would try to shame you.
How would you, if you were on their team, how would you get people to pay you?
To pay me?
Yeah, like if you were part of the government and they hired you, they're like, Gerard, we need these people to start paying their debts. How would you get the people to start paying you? Now I'm using it against you. How would you get it?
Hey, have you tried listening to him?
You just say that paying.
I'm the guy that gets thrown out the window in that meme. It's like, you know, they're like, you know, Billy Butcher's like, crack some skulls, you know. Then the other guy's like, agree with them, you know. And I'm just sitting here like, all they wanted is to be treated like human beings. Throw it out. Yeah.
You could say that not paying your debts is homophobic.
Yeah, for sure. Somehow.
Like it's xenophobic, it's homophobic, it affects minority groups. Yep. Like, fuck, I guess I got to pay my debts or else.
Yeah, it's like, this is, you know, by destroying these Fortune 500 corporations.
They make all the CEOs black and gay.
Why do you hate black and gay guys?
Don't you see you're affecting black-owned
Yeah, for sure.
corporations?
Yeah, and then I got to
wait a minute.
Then I got to deal with.
Since when is Jeff Bezos black and gay?
He's Cuban. He's Cuban.
Wait a minute. Did you know Jeff Bezos is trans?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, wait, hold on.
Oh, we got to pay some debts here.
And he's being affected. Pay your debts.
But that's how. For people that were asking questions, that's how. Why we don't do taxes? Because they can literally throw you in jail for not paying your taxes. But if you go after the people who pay them, see, that's the thing. These people are the bosses of the politicians because they pay the politicians.
Yeah.
So you just hollow out that war chest.
Yeah.
You pay them. You get rid of their money. Now all of a sudden they got to go to the politicians and say, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Why am I not getting my money?" And the politicians say, I don't know." And that's how we get the power back. Then the politician comes in with his big smile, glad handing. Oh, I would love it. Oh my God. Can you imagine AOC, the person of the people? The friendly, the big booty socialist has to come out and say, hey, pay your debt. Hey, pay your debt to these corporations. You made a deal with them, okay? They didn't do it. You're hurting working families. No, we're not. We're supporting working families. We're paying small businesses. What are we doing? We got cash. We're not sitting on the cash. We're paying them.
I wonder what she would say about this. Mm-hmm. Because this would be for the little guy.
100% for the
claims to, always defend and love. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, what would happen then? See, would you be for it?
No.
Would you be on our side?
What they'd start doing is they'd want to break us apart. They would start shutting down factories and low-level stuff, and then the workers would turn against us because, oh, you got us fired from our job in Amazon, and Amazon would say, well, we're not able to make we're not even to keep this open because we can't make our payments because those bad guys won't pay us.
Exactly what they would do.
That's what they would do. That's why you have to have the war chest. You got to.
Then that argument is just flawed because it's like, well, that's not true. Like you definitely can pay them.
Hey, no, what we would need is the small mom and pops.
You're saying that my debt has been paying for your staff?
So I'm glad that we're working this thing out, man, because now what we do is we have all the mom and pops that we're financing through our cash payments go, hey, you got to hire some people, man. We got all these people getting fired by Bezos. Why don't you hire them? And that's
I'm only
what we
getting
do.
paid cash, Gerard. I don't have enough money.
Well, that's the thing.
We don't have online services.
You have to show them that we can subsist without them. You have to show them that they work for us, the citizen, not their corporate overlords. Definitely not their international globalist overlords. Hey, go ask Klaus. Go ask Klaus to help you out. You can't make your payments? See if Klaus has got some money. He's a billionaire. See if Klaus, they got the money over there. Bill Gates has got the money. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We couldn't beat them if we were doing this for anything other than to show them that we're self-sustaining, right? And listen, in the end, could we actually win? Like, what does winning even mean? What does winning mean in this instance? Define what winning means. This is one of the things where it comes to like Black Lives Matter, when it comes to the Tea Party back in the day, when it comes to Occupy Wall Street, like, all the pink hats with their marching. What's your goal? Like, what is the goal? We would need a very clearly definable goal. What is our clearly definable goal? Like, what are 3 concessions that we want from the government to start buying back in again? Right? For me, campaign finance reform would be number 1. School vouchers would be number 2. and probably a complete and total redefining of our current tax structure and credit score structure would be what I would like. We have to the way credit score is structured in America is really worldwide is a way for just the rich to get massively richer. We have to do things that are going to ensure the existence of a middle class in perpetuity, because right now that's not happening. So, and on that note, I'll leave it open to the comments. What do people want? That's what I want. But what do people want?
Well, people want to know what happened with you and PBD.
Yeah, they really do. It's episode 1. We talked about it in episode 1 of Slick and Thick. 40 minutes in.
Yeah.
Look,
that's like the last 5 comments. What happened with you and PBD?
They moved on. Let's say this. They wanted to go in a different direction, and I wasn't a part of that new direction. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Is that fair?
Sure.
Yeah. Say that.
There's so much behind that shaking of the head. Oh man.
Yeah, brother.
All right, cool. Well, anyway, this was a great show. Awesome.
We need a name, David.
Debt Strikers.
The Debt Strike Hour.
The Debt Strike Hour, sponsored by Capital One.
Yeah. How about Brian Stelter getting fired? The thumb is out.
Ooh.
Yeah, you don't know who that is.
I've no Brian Stelter?
CNN.
Oh yeah? No.
Yeah, brother.
I don't watch fake news.
You know what? What the hell? What's another 5 minutes? Show that Little League World Series clip.
All right, so I thought this was gonna be a end on a high note, but apparently Gerard hates this.
I hate this.
I haven't seen this.
I hate this.
If you want to tell us give us some context.
Kid got hit in the head during the Little League World Series,
And
the pitcher was like crying on the mound about it.
oh, fuck off! No way.
And then you go see.
Okay, so let's see. This is
This is the regionals. Positively Jersey. Ugh. What's happened to my state?
but he was wearing a helmet.
Who have seen it. Oklahoma Little Leaguer Isaiah Jarvis walking from first base to hug the opposing pitcher Caden Shelton of East Texas after Shelton hit him in the head with a pitch.
Okay.
And become
Get it off my
visibly
screen.
upset by the mistake.
Get it off my screen. Oh, it's not.
A
Shut
simple
up.
gesture of empathy. That to Mike
Oh my
Mendes
God, I've come to hate the word empathy so much.
surprise at all.
Where we are,
Get it.
seeing what I see.
Get it off. Get it off. Get it off. Get it off my screen.
No, Gerard, give me a hug, buddy. Come
Get it off my screen. The kid's reeling. You've got the kid on the ropes. Can we hug after the game, people? Can we play the freaking game?
And
Can we win the game?
This is a bit much. This whole like prolonged hug.
Oh,
This is like, who's teaching you,
Bro.
this part? And it isn't anything having to do with sexual orientations. I like gay. No, it's not like that. It's just like
compete. What's the score there?
3-2 Texas East.
Yeah, what are we doing here? You got a game to win.
Come on.
What are we doing? I swear to God, at 12 years old even, if that was my teammate, I'm kicking the shit out of that guy. Are you have any idea? Dude, the things we used to do to try to make the opposing pitcher cry. We would say things, but dude,
Yeah.
is there no talking shit anymore? Nobody
No,
talks.
dude. Everyone's fucking soft
Oh,
now.
this is so soft. This is 10-ply, guy. This is like, this is horrible.
Dude, this is softcore kiddie porn for like.
What is this, bro?
This is weird. Like at most, you like dab them up and you're like,
No, you
Oh,
don't.
good. Oh,
It's
good,
a
bro.
3-2 game. No, you start singing "Pitcher Got a Big Butt." You start doing whatever you got to do to get in this kitchen.
Them
What are
to
you
cry.
doing?
See, from
Play the game. My God Almighty.
speaking about soft, my world of football. Yeah, you see the overreactions and all that. But when there's like a serious tackle that's like maybe a bit much, you see them just, dab each other up. Oh, my bad, and then you move on. But this is criminal.
Half the time in your sport, they don't even the guy's laying around on the ground like he got murdered. He wasn't even touched.
It's always to get a foul. Like I said, I
hate that more than anything.
Dramatic.
I hate that embellishment more than anything. They got to do something about that. I really promise you, I don't think soccer will ever be big in America until it's just so anti-American in its culture, right? Like so much about our culture is standing over the guy we just beat. Like, yeah, bitch, we just did that to you. Like, there's no like.
I beg to differ.
Yeah, you think so?
I just
this right here. This right here. Oh God, you might be right. Oh, what is going? Can I have nothing, leftist America? Can I have nothing?
I beg to differ, man.
Can I not even have, dude? Hardball. Look, since we're doing this, look up Albert Bell, Fernando Vina.
And then the whole team comes and hugs.
Oh, God, it gets worse.
The coach.
Stop this madness. Look up Albert Bell and Fernando Vina right now. Albert Bell, Fernando Vina.
On what, like YouTube?
YouTube. Albert Bell, Fernando Vina. You want to know the baseball I grew up with? The baseball that I love? All right? We've come. I mean, I swear to God, I grew up in a different world. This isn't even the world, like...
Oh, whoa. What's this?
What is this?
I don't know. It's an ad. You tell me, fucking commie.
What?
Why is this? Why are you getting like this? What is this?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh. Okay, here we go.
Here it is. Yep. Is that a hug?
Fuck you.
Is he hugging? Where's the hug? Let's hug it out.
Fuck you up.
What, are we not hugging? But they're children, Gerard. They're children. They're children. No. This is hardball, baby. You play to win the game. You play to win. What a great showing of empathy.
Crazy. Here it is again, ladies and gentlemen, in slow motion. Bell. Vina.
Boom!
Fuck you.
But you know what happened?
That's
He broke up the double play, ladies and gentlemen. He broke up the double play.
It's a 3-2 game. What are we doing
What are we doing?
Come on. That's so fucking funny.
I'm just saying, bro.
Boom. All right.
That's the America. That right there. Now that right there, that's making America great again right there. That's the stuff. That's the nostalgia bomb that appeals to people like me. That's the nostalgia bomb where it's like, oh my God. The more we let these other guys have power, the more our kids are hugging on the mound. Yeah. No. Give me that.
As far as soccer goes, I think the only way people will truly enjoy football is if it's used and played the same way that it's done everywhere else with relegation. It's just very...
That's interesting.
There's this beautiful thing, and it's always the drama in English football. Chelsea, Premier League... If you are bad, you get punished. You go down to the lower league, and then you have to fight your way back up. It's like you're bad. You try again next year.
No, it's actually better. The worse you are, the more beneficial it is because you get higher draft picks.
I don't know if it's the same thing in like the MLS. They don't do draft picks.
There's no draft.
Exactly.
No, I think there is an MLS draft.
There's an MLS draft. What's wrong with this place?
I'm almost positive.
What are you doing to the sport, man? An MLS draft. But yeah, it's like until you get, and I think relegation should be across every sport.
European soccer took after America when they did the Champions League, and they were like, man, we need playoffs. The Champions League's a playoffs.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Champions League is a whole different tournament.
It's a playoffs. Come on.
Playoff for what?
For last year's winners. It's real weird.
No. It's a tournament for the best teams in Europe.
And how do they determine that?
By the top 4
of the standings
of every league.
Yeah, who gets into the playoffs?
Sure, but then it's worldwide, so it's a whole other tournament
World Series, buddy. We have
World Series that only happens.
We have at least 2 countries.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're
NBA world champion. What?
Tell them that they're not. Tell them that they're not.
You're not. You only played in the United States. You can't call yourself a world champion.
Do you think so? Mickey always gets Mickey always gets angry when I start talking about how like fighters are really, really great fighters, but they're not really great at other sports, right? So as far as athletes, how many international soccer players do you think could walk onto an American sport and do well?
Which sport?
Give me one.
Well, that's the thing. It's like soccer players. One of the best soccer players in the world, Lionel Messi, is like my height.
Yeah.
Like, he's not that tall.
But he could probably be a kicker in the NFL, right?
It's different kicking a football than kicking a soccer ball. It's like a whole different shape.
Apparently punting is more analogous than place kicking.
Yeah. Even that, it's just
Back
like
in
a
the day, I
different
remember
type of
Tony
ball.
Viola tried to be a kicker for the Jets. I do remember that.
Yeah, see how'd that go?
We tried.
Was the only reason. There's a reason why Tony Viola was the only guy that did it. When like you have people like, I always thought that, like, just be a kicker on a football team.
Dude,
it's just not the same.
people really have no idea like how good American athletes are being athletes. Like you have the best athletes in other countries and other sports. You have like Australian football players, rugby players. They come over here to America and they're just like, oh, what's going on here, man?
Yeah,
like,
well, but at the same time, like in European soccer, they're just peak parents that take their kids and they're like, okay, you're just for Chelsea.
Yeah.
You're in the Chelsea academy.
Sure.
At 6 years old.
Yep.
And depending if how well you do, like you stay there your whole life. Yeah. John Terry was in the Chelsea academy since he was like 6.
That's a big thing in
so it's like this
lot
is
of the
all
world.
you fucking know.
Yeah. Well, that's a big thing. Like Andrew Bogut's parents had him DNA tested when he was like an infant, and they said, well, he's going to be very tall. You should get him into volleyball, swimming, or basketball. So they literally like had this kid engineered, ended up being the first overall pick in the draft in the NBA. But
yeah,
listen.
Christian Pulisic at a young age sent to Germany to live by himself.
Yeah, dude, hockey's been doing this for a long time. People go up and they play Quebec Major Junior Hockey, and they like, they leave high school and they go play this semi-professional sport. I get it. I mean, we're trending that direction with college sports now that they have the NILs and everything like that. I mean, college sports.
Yes and no, though. Because these teams, like, you don't see the Dolphins having a youth academy that the kid grows up.
I think it's going that direction. I think it's going that direction.
So?
I do. I think it's going that direction. Major League Baseball teams have Dominican and Venezuelan academies now. But I'm not necessarily sure I like that. But at the same time, that's where it's trending.
Well, see, in Europe right now, in European soccer, now they're kind of criticizing it because they're making all these tournaments for the kids. So like under 16, under 8, Champions League.
Sure.
And so it's like you're adding all this crazy pressure onto the kid where you're playing, I don't know how many games. You're playing the league, and then you're playing an international tournament that has a big name. So it's like at 8 years old, if you get to the final and you lose the Champions League, like what does that do for you? Shit. I would argue that it builds even crazier players.
Yeah.
But other people are saying that it's like, well, you're just really damaging this person's development.
I don't know. I've seen it both ways. I mean, I ran a gym where I did high-level development for baseball kids after I was done, and like I did high-level training, and I did that like massive travel program stuff. I think it's a net negative for most people because
you think it's bad for the kids to give them that much pressure?
Well, it's not the pressure. It's just not fun, man. And as a kid, you want to have fun. And the other side of it is like, dude, like.
Because imagine being 8 years old and going to Paris.
Yeah, but I get it. There's a specialization aspect to it too. Like
it doesn't get.
When the game's recreational, you play shortstop, you play second base. I actually think that like these kids are drilled into their head. There's a specific way to play. Their personal gameplay, their problem solving, that it's not as good. Like they're really, really, really skilled. They're really talented in the direct skill, but the gameplay is actually worse because they don't know how to play the game because they only ever played one little specific portion of that game. That's a whole different podcast, though. I will say, athleticism, competition, toughness. That stuff is so important, man. That stuff is so very, very, very important.
Yeah.
The camaraderie that you get from it, the ability to challenge yourself and to put yourself in these positions of like controlled peril and then be able to get out of it. It's just so important. And I will finish on this. The rest of the world should be so embarrassed that America is even able to compete with them in soccer when you guys are getting our 8th best athletes. Like the fact that the United States could even qualify for the round of 16 in the World Cup should be so embarrassing to the rest of the world because you're not getting our football players, our basketball players, our baseball players. I mean, you're competing with like hockey and lacrosse for our 4th tier.
Yeah, but that's kind of a soft argument in the sense of like, well, we are getting your best soccer players, and I don't give a shit if we're not getting your best football players. Obviously, it's a whole different.
If you put those athletes on those athletes on a on a football field, how do you think that's going to end up for people?
Well, yeah, that's because they're built for a different sport. That doesn't make any sense. It's like,
What do you mean?
Yeah, you put Floyd Mayweather against Ronda Rousey or anyone. It's like in the MMA.
Oh my God!
Yeah, of course he's going to destroy.
Who is stopping
Floyd
LeBron
Mayweather.
James? Who's stopping LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Larry freaking Bird on a cross? Who's stopping that? Who's scoring?
What are you talking about? You're saying that LeBron James and Kobe Bryant can cross a ball better than a soccer player?
No. Put somebody who can cross a ball into the box. All right.
Right.
And who's defending Kobe Bryant going up for that header? Who?
Sure. No, that's fair. That's fine. Just because
Who?
he's so obnoxiously tall, but
Obnoxiously
Okay.
tall, athletically, dude.
let's see them
Who's
get it
sco-
in,
who's
though. Do you
scoring-
think that's like easy?
Imagine-
That ball's going like 80 miles an hour. Try to put your head on that.
Imagine LeBron James goalkeeping, 6'8", with the lateral movement of somebody that's 5'8". Who's scoring on LeBron James?
Dude, I think you're dumbing it down. It's
Oh my
like
God.
just because he's big, it's like you have to have
Just
a
because
whole.
he's big, he's the greatest
but there-
athlete on planet Earth.
Sure,
You're
but there's
getting-
a whole
Dude,
different thing
soc-
about.
Stop.
Dude,
Our
there's
soccer players are getting
No, but there's
like
an art-
fourth tier athletes. So wait. You think that they can learn? You think somebody can learn how to hit an 88 mile an hour slider and a 100 mile an hour fastball, but they can't learn how to cross a soccer ball? You don't think that they
No, I'm
have
not
the
saying they
refined
can't.
motor skills to have learned this?
Well, no, I'm not saying they can't learn it, but if you want to put LeBron James on the biggest stage of European football,
Yeah.
and say that he can perform crazy good, I disagree. There's a reason Michael Jordan flopped at baseball.
He
They're
didn't- okay, first
trained.
of all,
They're
time out.
trained
Time
for
out.
one sport.
Oh my God, this
There's so much to,
This
like-
bothers me to no end. The fact that people think Michael Jordan flopped at baseball just drives me out of my mind. All right, it drives me nuts. The guy played Double-A baseball, which is about as high as you can get. Right, you got major leagues, you got Triple-A, you got Double-A. Double-A baseball is better than professional baseball in every other nation. Japan would not be Double-A baseball. Mexico would not be Double-A baseball. Venezuela, not Double-A baseball. Double-A baseball is about as good as it gets. This guy had not played baseball in over 10 years. He was such a good athlete that he batted 200. Joey Gallo just got traded away from the Yankees because he didn't bat 200. He makes $40 million a year. The fact that Michael Jordan was even able to make contact with a Double-A pitcher is like the greatest compliment to his athleticism ever in history. You take anybody, any normal person, any normie, you're like, that played high school baseball, sit him out for 10 years, and then put him in against a Double-A pitcher pumping 96 with a slide piece, dude, they would shit themselves at the plate. Forget making contact. They might actually vacate their bowels. One fastball inside, and that would be that, dude. The fact that this guy put balls in play, the fact that this guy even was somewhat competitive is just like, it shows what an unreal athlete he is.
Sure.
An unreal athlete.
Okay, great.
You take anybody from European soccer, anybody. You give me anybody from European soccer, put them in against a Double-A pitcher, I would just keep betting $100 that he's going to swing and miss. I'd give you $100 at 3-1 that he would swing and miss, and I might make $500 million on that. Like, I mean,
Yeah, and I would agree because they're not trained for that. Of course, it's a difficult sport, but I would say the same thing that I think you're dumbing it down when you say that LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, all these people would go into soccer and just like, who's guarding them? Well, like, do they know to get into the right positions? They'd probably offside every time. They would probably they would make contact, but fucking hit the ball
Sure.
or hit it right to the goalkeeper.
Sure.
It's not that easy just being tall. If
course.
that were the case, then Peter Crouch would have been the greatest football player on earth.
I'm also assuming that they would have been training their whole lives because they're the best athletes. If this was the number one sport, you'd have the best
Well,
athletes.
no. Obviously, if they're training their whole lives, then yeah, maybe.
How many
But you're
soccer-
saying that like
how
you're
many
taking
soccer
American
players-
athletes
Sure.
now and you put them in soccer, they would.
Is
be
there
great.
a
I
single
disagree.
soccer player you think that could compete in an NBA game today?
Soccer player
Zlatan
now?
Ibrahimovic. How tall is Zlatan?
Zlatan is pretty tall, but he's probably like 6'2". I don't know if he's pretty. Zlatan is a.
Could any of those guys walk on an NFL field?
He's 6'5".
Yeah, he's a big dude.
On an NFL field.
Could any of them walk on an NFL field and do anything other than kick, do you think?
I don't know. I have to think. A quarterback. I'm thinking of a decent sized.
Cristiano Ronaldo, something, top 5 greatest players of all time, top 3, top 2, so depending on who, right? How tall is he? Is he 6 foot? 6 foot 175?
Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo is 6'2".
He's 6'2".
Yeah.
All right, so he's good size. A great athlete, good speed. You got to feel like Cristiano Ronaldo probably, definitely that's great size for a baseball player, So some of those guys may have translated, but the majority of those guys, I think if America dedicated its best athletes from a young age to playing soccer, the rest of the world wouldn't stand a chance. Like it's again, I feel like it's comical that we're even somewhat competitive with our fourth tier athletes going up against their best of the best. It's comical to me.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just saying, it's the best.
It's not
of
your
the best.
fourth. Yeah, it's your fourth tier athlete if you want to put it in the terms and of just fitness and sport.
Just your best athlete.
But
Your
those are your best
your
soccer
best
players.
Youth athletes in America just don't gravitate to soccer. It's not like soccer is.
Yeah, it's just not popular. Of course not.
So that's what I'm. So what are you arguing with me about?
Because you're saying that it's like your fourth tier athlete.
It is your
it's
fourth tier athlete.
but it's your first tier soccer players. Those are the best the country has.
But they're the first tier soccer players because the other better athletes are gravitating to other sports.
I'm struggling with that better athlete thing.
Okay, why?
Because you're basing it off of just because they're like LeBron James.
Sure.
Great athlete because ball and hole good.
Yeah, but he can jump. Because how about
Because he can jump
Let's just
high.
start
So can Cristiano Ronaldo.
So let's start with run fast, jump high. Who can run faster or jump higher, LeBron James or Cristiano Ronaldo?
Cristiano Ronaldo. No fucking
Are
doubt.
you fucking insane?
Dude, are you fucking insane?
Are you insane?
Who can jump
Higher?
higher or jump fast? Or I'm sorry, run faster, jump higher?
Yeah, LeBron James.
How tall is LeBron?
You think Cristiano Ronaldo has a
Maybe-
better vertical leap
Dude.
than LeBron James?
LeBron James is 6'9". I think ratio-wise, I want you to see.
I'm a fan of Cristiano Ronaldo. But
This podcast
you're
is
being
going-
nuts. You're
I'm
crazy.
running late to an appointment right now. Cristiano Ronaldo jump. I want to show you this.
Mm-hmm.
This is like insane height. 2.65 meters was one of the highest ones he's ever done.
He jumped 8 feet in the air? That's impossible.
I will show you.
Okay.
Dude, this guy is this guy is crazy. Sorry, let me
Is that where his head was?
yeah.
His head is 8.5 feet above the ground.
Well, let me show you this. Let's see if this works here.
So if that's the case, and he's 6'2", that means that he had a 24-inch vert, 25-inch vert, right?
See, hold on. Let me get this going. But
Sure.
I just want to show you. Maybe those at home still watching. Mm-hmm. Here's this clip of Cristiano Ronaldo. Oh, if you can even see it, can you see it? G?
No. Yeah, I see it.
Here we go. This is Cristiano Ronaldo's leap.
Yeah, he's a beast. Yeah.
And
beast.
he's 1,000% faster than LeBron.
There's no way.
Dude, are you
know how
crazy?
fast
This
he
guy's known for his sprint.
All right. Does he have a 40
He's
time?
37-year-old.
Let's. Does he have a 40 time? LeBron James, by the way, routinely jumps north of 40 inches. Routinely. He's got a 40-inch vert and he's 6'9". The guy can literally touch the back of a bat.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy's leaps.
Bro, I'm not. He's great. He's great. But you think that.
And you're telling me if this guy trains for. You think LeBron James could do that? There's no fucking chance.
Yes, I do.
There's
Are you
no
nuts? Are
fucking
you-
chance he makes that contact.
Are you
at that
crazy?
speed? At that point of the game, that's like, dude.
Who would get in his way? He's 270 pounds. He's 6'9", and he runs in the 4.5s, dude.
Oh man. And I'm not even a Cristiano Ronaldo fan, dude. There's no chance homeboy gets to do this. LeBron James.
Dude, LeBron in high school. LeBron was
LeBron is good at aiming.
He had a 4.4. LeBron had a 4.4 40 with a 40-inch vertical leap. You're talking about maybe the single greatest athletic human being to ever live, ever walk the planet.
LeBron James?
Probably the single most athletic human being to ever live to this point. Quantifiably.
Gerard, come on.
I'm not a LeBron James fan. almost despise the guy.
LeBron James is a basketball legend, a great athlete. But to say that he's the best athlete to ever live,
Are you crazy?
let's switch over to Slick and Thick because this is.
Are you nuts? He's quantifiably probably the single most athletic human being to ever walk the face of the earth.
We're still watching Cristiano Ronaldo league.
I'm just saying, bro.